And, I told you yesterday towards the closer trade, you'll ask me why I'm dancing. Today it's going to be the ballet, the rap, the say what it is. It's that sort of a day. It's going to be a big day for the Indian stock markets. 1,000-point gain. I'm looking at a lot of stocks just in the first few minutes. They're already locked at upper circuit. So
maybe if you just look at something like textile names, right? The one sector which actually was impacted, and they were forced to take discounts on pricing, etc., to be able to adjust for the tariffs, etc. Look at that. Gokuldas is up 20%. Pearl Global is the company we spoke to earlier. That should come up on your screen, and many others.
So let me tell you, Wellspun Living 20%, Aarti Industries 20%, Himmat Singha Seed 20%, Avanti Feeds 20%, Kitex Garments 20%, Vardhaman Textile Trident also up 20%. So that just gives you an indication, of course, and there's a gush of money coming in too. Many of the large caps. Titan is the one in pre-open, up nearly 10%. IT2 giving it company. But I think we've got Naresh Jalan, Managing Director at Ramkrishna Forging, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Jalan, thank you very much for joining us on this momentous day. It looks like a very strong opening, a record opening for the market. But just for the auto sector and auto ancillary, you all are under Section 232. So does the India-US trade deal benefit you, or you will still continue to attract a tariff of 50%?
No, still I think we are waiting for the fine prints. But whatever we have heard, that auto components also for India, basically all the engineering components fall under the new tariff regime. And also the industrial components going into oil and gas sector and the industrial equipment sector fall under the new tariff regime. So I think that will move from a 50% or 25% to straight away to 18%.
Okay, so auto components, components to oil and gas industrial will now attract 18%. That's what you've heard?
Yes, that's what we have heard yesterday night.
And you've heard from whom, sir?
From our customers in US, we have heard from them. So we are waiting for the fine print still.
Right. So the autos as a space otherwise is not because of that. It comes under Section 232, right, Mr. Jalan?
Yes, it comes under Section 232, but I think like in other trade agreements with Korea and Japan, they were given an exception in terms of auto components and auto from 232. I think India also has been given such exemptions probably, and that's the reason our customers have come back immediately yesterday night itself that we may, by this, I think in a couple of days we may hear exactly, but it is going to be at 18%.
So all auto components, all auto component exports?
Yes, all auto component exports.
Okay.
But I think the best part is that the industrial component, which forms today one of the biggest exports in engineering, in oil and gas and the industrial equipment, which was charged under 50%, that will straight away come to 18%.
Okay. And what was the tariff under 232 for auto and auto components?
That was 25%.
Okay, 25 for everything else to 18, and for specific oil and gas, industrial supplies, etc., it goes from 50 to 18, where there is the delta is much bigger. Mr. Jalan, thank you very much for joining us. Very helpful that you are giving us that feedback, what you heard from your customers at this point in time. I think our technical experts are also with us, Mitesh and Sudarshan. Gentlemen, good morning. Good to have you with us here. Sorry we are coming to you a little later than usual, but it's a big day. And I think it will all come down to trade management and what do you do after a gap up like this? Because that's what makes money, right? I mean, the view is one thing, but how you execute. Sudarshan, you go first.
All right. See, the 2 days were no trade days. That means we are lucky we don't have any short positions. If you do have long positions yesterday afternoon when the market started building up, the gap up, after the gap up, have a pause and take your profits. There is nothing to buy. And please do not make the silly mistake of trying to go short. That would be silly. Just enjoy this market. All your portfolios have gone up today. Gold, silver, and today the shares.
Yeah.
Mitesh, chase the gap up?
See, not immediately. I think, if there's a massive gap up like the Nifty is showing, then I think I'll wait for it to, the GIFT Nifty is showing, then I'll wait for it to settle down. But if it's a small gap of, let's say, about 200, 300 points, then maybe yes.
Yeah. Let's refresh this Nifty, the rate. It's up it's up 1,200 points on that. On the graphic, it was showing a 1% change. It is not. It is. It's a 1200 odd point. The pre-open, I think, is ended now. Sudarshan, in terms of specific trades, what do you have?
I'll give you the names because there's no sense in the levels. There are three mid caps you can consider: Amber, AMBER, Hind Petro, and Concur for buying. You must understand that gap ups are not good places to buy, but focus on them.
Yeah.
Amber, and the other one is?
Concur, CONCUR, Concur. Amber, Hind Petro, Concur.
Got that. Mitesh, what would you look at buying today?
I also have some buy calls, but I'm not sure how it will open up. So the risk reward has to be taken care before executing them. But a buy on IOC for targets of around 169, a buy on ABB for targets of 55.50, Adani Ports for targets of 14.55, and CG Power for targets of 6.30.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, gentlemen. Well, let's focus on the metal space then. We have Vikas Singh, Vice President at ICICI Securities, who joins us on the show. Hi, Vikas. Good morning. Good to see you. When everyone's celebrating that the tariffs comes down from around 50% to around 80%. But for our metal sector, it continues under Section 232. Just correct if that understanding is correct. So there's no big change. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're correct that the 50% tariff on aluminum still will continue even after that. But sentimentally or indirect exports in terms of the other goods probably will go. So slightly positive, I would say, for metals as well. Okay, so sentiment positive is what we're seeing for the metal index itself on that front. All right. The other big talking point is going to be on silver, right? Silver did $120. It came down to around $80. But I think most analysts like you are still factoring in, I think, $50, $60 an ounce. Could you tell us what is that number and what is the play now? How do you approach a stock like Hindustan Zinc and Vedanta? I recall when both those stocks were, they were shunned away at that point of time and everyone was negative. I recall that you were quite bullish on it. So what's the view right now? Because the stocks have seen already a big run. Yeah, Najib. So basically, we are building, not building, we were previously building was $56, $57 per ounce on silver. Currently, in our estimate, we are baking in $90 per ounce of silver at this point of time, and still slightly bullish on Vedanta since the stock has run up a lot. So we are currently still have an ad rating on the stock. So slightly bullish stance, still maintain on the Vedanta.
So and between ferrous and non-ferrous, what is the preference? Give us your top two picks.
So we have actually started advising clients to start moving to ferrous at the start of the year, basically. Then the safeguard duty came, and currently, given the next 5 to 6 months is the peak demand season for ferrous, we are still basically more bullish on ferrous at this point of time versus non-ferrous. Our top pick is Tata Steel at this point of time, and on ferrous side and non-ferrous, Vedanta.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vikash, for that. That's a quick update. There's a news break confirmation once again. We put out two big exclusives yesterday. And there's confirmation right now coming through. So AB Housing Finance, which is a fully owned subsidiary of AB Capital, and we should tag the stock as well, is raising 2,750 odd crores in growth capital, which basically means that it will go into the balance sheet of the company to strengthen the balance sheet, to expand in a faster way. And that is the stock that should be in focus. The pre-open has ended, so you won't see a price change because the news is broken after the end of the pre-open session. So you will see a reaction as it opens up. And the transaction is valuing the company at 19,250 crores on a post-money basis. And, Advent will end up owning, which is a private equity giant, will end up owning 14.3% stake in the housing finance subsidiary. So that is AB Capital. Newsbreak confirmed. On your screen, at the bottom of the screen, 20% movers, Trident, Wellspun, Indocount, all the textile names. And I think there will be others as well, which will come up and give you a sense of the open itself. And we'll put that out. I think Vivek is standing by on solar as a segment and how that is. Okay. So I'll just wait by. There's 3 minutes to go for the market open as we kick off. Right now, 26,308 is 1,220 odd points higher, and let's get Vivek and let's ask him. By the way, if Mitesh, do we have Mitesh? Okay, Vivek is with us, so let me go across to him. Vivek, solar.
Well, that's right. Solar manufacturing supply chain. Waaree Energy, remember, has out of the total order book of 60,000 crore, almost 32.5% comes from the US market, big beneficiary, sharp gap up gain. ME Photovoltaic, Premier Energy, all of them have spoken about exports. Vikram Solar is another name from the renewable energy manufacturing space. Now, coming to the capital goods space, manufacturing space, very sharp beneficiaries. Have a look at APAR Industries, that particular stock, the third quarter revenues, 42% mix came in from the US markets. That particular stock gains big. Cummins India, ABB, Hitachi, all of these MNCs do have intergroup exposures. 15 to 20% of the total top line comes from the export market. Adani Enterprises as well as Waaree, both of these names, module exports to the US market, they also stand to benefit quite significantly. Other names include names like TD Power, Entar Technologies, Triveni Turbines. All of them do have material exposure to the US market. All of them stand to gain significantly.
Yeah, all stand to gain materially. Sudarshan and Mitesh are with us. Mitesh, the AB Capital as a stock, any thoughts?
Prashant, I think, the stock has corrected to its weekly support levels of 320 yesterday.
Yeah.
Middle of 317. Could bounce back to 345, 346. And if it captures that, even 360, 365 zones.
Yeah. Okay. Your 9-10 calls, Mitesh?
I'll go with long on Adani Ports.
Sorry, which one? Adani Ports.
Adani Ports.
Can we just put up the Adani stocks all on the screen as well? Because I think that was the other group of stocks which many people have been telling us perhaps this big positive reaction will show up. Okay, we'll do that as soon as markets open. And Nigel has walked across the big wall. I'll toss it across to him in just a bit. But just referred the market opening itself, and then we'll take it from there. What do we have? So Nifty, historic open, 1,200 points higher. 1,000 points, 26,030. Nifty Bank, 23,050, which is 60,950. You got the mid-cap index, which is up 4.5%. So the mid and small cap indices is where this is showing up in a very, very dramatic fashion. And look at advanced decline. When is the last time you've seen markets open with a 10:1? 10 stocks up for 1 stock down, kind of an advanced decline ratio. So, I mean, something's got to be said about that. Nifty is kind of cooling off a little bit, but this is just the start. 740 odd points is what you have. 25,822. Sensex 84,071. Okay, let me toss it across to Nigel, who's standing by on the big wall to take the market open forward. Nigel, take it away.
किधर चला गया?
Okay, I think, Nigel, what we'll do is we'll just come back to you. I think we're having a little bit of audio issue. We'll just fix that. But, I mean, it's a sight to behold. Actually, if you can just show pictures and look at the market opening on that big wall, right? That's the impact is quite formidable in that sense. 720 odd points, 2.9% higher is where we are at this point. I think we've fixed that issue. Nigel, take it away.
Well, that's right. That's right, Prashant. We're looking at that, the big move is what we're seeing on the Nifty itself. We're up close to around 900 points approximately. The number of stocks that are advancing way more than the number of stocks declining. And that's something that's really, holding you well. A few stocks that are in focus in today's trading session. The advanced decline ratio is good. And just take a look at the big gainers. Now, let's pull some of these stocks up for you on the screen. Gokuldas should come up for you. That's locked in upper circuit. Wellspun Living, that as well is higher. Himatsingha, well, that stock as well is up and about in today's trading session. So these textile players, they are having a blast in today's trading session. It's only green on the screen. Pull up a few more. KPR Mill, that's up and about. And Vardhaman Textile, that's the other stock as well in there. Big gains is what you're seeing on all of these names. Let's get a few of them actually up for our viewers on the screen. From the chemicals pack, we have Aarti Industries as well as Camlin Fine. All those stocks, in fact, are up and about in today's trading session. We're talking about Vardhaman Textile. Yes, the holding company as well is doing well. But I think we should get some of those other names up for you on the screen. Apex Frozen, we just had Ria telling us that it's a beneficiary. So that stock is up and about. And LT Foods as well. That's the other name. Moving up on rather large volumes in today's trading session. So good going out there. A few more gainers. Goldium, they as well have a fair bit of exposure to the United States. Remember, when the tariffs were imposed, these stocks got actually hit. So they are seeing a big bounce back in trade today. And finally, Sterling Technologies, that's another stock that's doing well. Sambandana Motherson, big move is what we're seeing on that stock. Just take a look at these names. 10, 15, 20% is what we're seeing. And Carousel as well as Garware Technical Fibers. So it's a super duper trading session. Big move is what we're seeing. This number, that's the one that you like. The number of stocks advancing, 2,400 stocks advancing, with just around 133 stocks that are declining. Guys, back to you all. Joining us soon in the studio.
Oh, well, that's looking majestic, Nigel. Thanks very much for that. It's a super start at this point in time. I can go through so many more names here, right, which are opening up, and we'll have them up at the bottom of the screen with regards. It's all 10%, 20%, 10%, 20%. That kind of a day. Kind of reminds me of that. I think the last time we had something like this was tax cuts. If you remember back in the, I think this is when. The 10% corporate tax cut which had happened, and everything obviously opened up 10%.
Even in May, on 12th of May 2025, post the India-Pakistan ceasefire, Operation Sindoor, we had about a 3.5%, 4% kind of an up move on the markets. It was a broad-based gain. The only sector, which is sideways today is ONGC. That's the only Nifty stock in the red right now. And large cap FMCG names like HUL, ITC, Nestle are not participating on the upside. They're in the green, but modest gains.
Remember, your attire is matching with all the greens, so that's nice. Prashant Jain is with us. He's founder and CIO at 3P Investment Managers. Prashant, good morning. Great to have you with us here. Thanks very much for joining us. And, I remember in our interaction at the sidelines of that Kotak event, I think which was the last that we've had on air, you said, it's one of the, it's structurally, this is the best we've seen for a long time in your career, macro-wise, etc. But there was this big disconnect between asset prices and the macros in that sense. So in that, a lot of things go to make that divergence, earnings, etc., which were a little slower. But this also was a big sentiment overhang, Prashant. So what is your first reading on the durable impact of this deal?
I think, Prashant, I would agree with you that this was a sentiment breaker, and I think it did. Our exposure to the US in goods exports is extremely low, and if you exclude the exempt categories, then that exposure is close to 1%. And these are also categories which have relatively very low share in the markets. So, I mean, I can completely understand the way markets are behaving. People must have been short, or there is a lot of excitement. But I would expect, just like it did not have too much impact on the downside, I don't think there is any durable, meaningful impact on the upside either. But it's a very good thing to happen.
Does it? I mean, but Prashant, there's somewhat as sentiment is a powerful thing, right? I mean, feel good, and I mean that motivates people to take action. Do you think that perhaps, and it becomes a slightly, I mean, it's not our job to do it, but from a foreign investor perspective, those who were saying, when will they come back? This going away adds to the argument that you can kind of present, right? And it's all connected. It's a big one virtuous cycle. What's your sense?
Foreigners have been underweight India for three simple reasons, in my opinion. One was India was pretty expensive 18 months back. Second, earnings estimates were very aggressive. We were simply extrapolating the faster growth in earnings coming off the COVID lows. And finally, I think India was missing the popular narratives of these times, which is AI or semicon, etc. And these were the reasons why we saw so much selling. I think with the currency where it is, with the valuations having come off, with so much selling behind us, I think I would be a little more optimistic on foreign flows, and this certainly is going to help. Though the good thing in India is that the impact of foreign flows, one way or the other, is now quite small. Foreigners have sold 40 billion in 18 months, but markets, large caps have been flat. So I think when you are raising 5 lakh crores of capital a year, another 50,000 crores more or less supply, which is what foreigners do, I don't think it moves the needle meaningfully for the Indian markets. But I would agree with you completely that this could be good for a sentimental rally.
So you're saying that even if the FIs come back, it's not going to be a meaningful driver in terms of big percentage gains for our market, pushing us up towards, say, a 10% rally over the next few months? It doesn't.
Yeah, Nifty could rally if foreigners come back because in Nifty there is hardly any supply of stock.
Okay.
And local funds in any case are buyers. But the moment you have good market sentiment, the supply of stock also catches up. So you were raising 5 lakh crores. If there is more money in the market, you may end up raising 6 lakh crores. So ultimately, markets will over time move depending on valuations and fundamentals. And I think the impact of flows is not that significant. Think of it this way. Why did the markets not go down when you had 40 billion worth of sales? So I am not trying to underplay the role of foreigners for near-term movements, but longer term, these markets are clearly driven by local capital, which is far bigger, and also the supply of stock. Yes.
So what is your view now, Prashant, on the markets 12, 18 months down the line, considering that we've gone through a period of time-wise, a little price correction, we've underperformed versus peers, earnings are expected to pick up, say 13, 14% by FY27. What is the view on the markets and how are you constructing your portfolio, the advice?
I think we are constructive on the portfolio. Markets have time corrected for, Nifty has time corrected for almost 16, 18 months. India's premium over EMs has been reverted. Foreigners are underweight. There is hardly any supply in Nifty. And as you rightly said, earnings growth mainly led by banks pricing in lower deposits. Earnings growth outlook for fiscal 27 is mid-teens compared to single digit in this year. So I think we have said this on record also, that the next meaningful move in the market should be on the way up and not on the way down.
Yes. Got it. Prashant, just a quick word on sectors as we look ahead, right? Now, this is a big marquee thing. It's happened and thankfully it's come through early in the year. So how, where are your energies focused on? Is it which part of the market, in terms of finding those single stock opportunities, which could be wealth creators? Prashant, how do you think about it?
Prashant, I feel that large caps continue to offer better opportunities than small mid caps as a category. However, small mid caps have fallen quite sharply. So I think it is time for very, very selective the buying into these names on a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 names would start making sense. In large caps, I think sectorally, banks, insurance, automobiles, I would say even software, these sectors are looking good. I mean, I would be not constructive on consumer staples and retail because these two sectors, I think, are expensive relative to their long-term growth prospects. And another point is in these markets, the dispersion in valuations is pretty low, and there are hardly any deeply undervalued sectors. So this is not a market where you can make quick or big money, in my mind.
Prashant, you said the lack of AI trades in India worked against India. Do you think the budget announcements related to data centers, tax holidays addresses that? India can become an AI services hub? That anti-AI label, can that go away?
I don't think data centers are a proxy for AI. They are a very highly capital intensive, very low ROCE business. It's a good opportunity for India and it is great what has been done. But I don't think it is a proxy for AI at all.
Yeah. Sorry, IT.
No, on data centers, I asked that can it reverse the anti-AI label? That, he says it's a good opportunity, but it's not AI, or it's a proxy for AI.
Yeah,
but you said you like IT services, right, Prashant? Can you take us through the rationale behind it? Because when you look at earnings growth, while FY27 will be better than FY26, we're still looking at mid-single digit kind of a top-line growth.
This sector has seen the maximum outflows if you look at the foreign selling last year. Why? Because many expect this sector to be adversely impacted or even disrupted by the adoption of AI. We have a slightly different view and time will tell whether that view is right or wrong. We feel while adoption of AI will certainly improve productivity, but client spends are unlikely to come down. And therefore, these businesses may not get adversely impacted. On the other hand, as enterprises adopt AI, there is a fair chance that IT spends may actually accelerate. And these companies have proven to be very agile over the last three and a half decades, and they have successfully navigated multiple shifts in technology. And we think this time should be no different as well.
Dark horse sector, right? In that sense. And it's underperformed for a few years. Sorry, you wanted to say something, Prashant?
I think, yes, it's sold off very sharply. If you look at the dividend yields, probably it is the highest. Currency depreciation is in its favor. And despite the anticipated impact of AI, fiscal 27 looks to be a better year than fiscal 26. So let's see how it goes.
Well, Prashant, great conversation and a very reasoned view coming through from you. And thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18.
Thank you,
Prashant.
Prashant.
Someone who's got one of the best track records with regards to investment management over a very long time period. We have Suyog Kotecha joining us, CEO and Executive Director of Aarti Industries on the phone line. Suyog, great to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
So for the chemicals industry and your business, give us a sense of US exposure and what does 18% now mean?
No, I think it's a great positive for the sector in general and also for Aarti Industries. For a country, roughly US accounts for 20% of our chemical exports globally. And in that context, $6 billion worth of chemicals get exported to US from India every year. So in that context, this reduction from 50+% to 18% will help tremendously. Even for Aarti, as part of our total revenue, 17 to 18% comes from US. So it's also a sort of huge positive for us at Aarti Industries. But I think more importantly, the certainty will help sort of decongest a lot of decision making that has got hampered in the last 9 months from investments point of view, from future growth opportunities point of view. So overall, a very welcome move and a huge positive for the sector and for the company.
What were you paying on the 17 to 18% as it was charged 50% till now?
Yeah, I mean, the tariff varied based on the product lines. As we explained before, some products were paying full tariff, some products we sort of exempted as part of an extra 2, and some products, the clients were able to reimburse the tariffs wherever.
So what was the, on an average volume weighted, what was the average tariff, Suyog?
I think roughly on, 40% of the volume we were paying full tariffs. And I think that's going to get mitigated quite significantly.
40% of the about 18% you were paying full tariff. Yeah.
And your competitors, I presume mostly it would come from China, and other countries. Can you tell us what kind of tariffs they are paying? And how would you be placed competitively now?
I think there are two major geographies against whom we compete, China and then Europe to some extent. I think with Europe we are at par, but given our cost competitive advantage, we should be able to compete quite favorably with them despite tariffs being, slightly favorable for them. China, now we will have a significant advantage, right? Because Chinese tariffs, if they continue to remain at existing level, then we will definitely have advantage over them as far as exports to US are concerned.
And China tariffs are 50% plus? What is the number?
In total, if you add up all different types of duties, they will reach closer to 50% odd level.
Okay. All right. Hi, Suyog. Good to see you win. So it's a positive coming in because you have managed to crack the father of tariffs. But what about the mother of all deals? You have some exposure to EU as well. And with the India-EU deal that was signed, are you a beneficiary?
We do have exposure to EU, though from a current business standpoint, it's low at around 5% odd level of our total revenue. But I think from a mid to long-term point of view, it's also a huge support because a lot of long-term partnership opportunities, specifically for European chemical players who are rationalizing their own capacity in Europe, will now get attracted towards setting up that capacity in India. So from a near-term impact point of view, it may not be material, but from a mid to long-term point of view, I think EU FTA is also very positive. I mean, as we discussed, if you step back, right, as a sector, this sector has been, impacted on margin side for quite a while, almost now 2.5, 3 years.
Okay.
But in the last 3 to 4 weeks, with the three macro events, I think EU FTA and I think US trade deal recently, but in addition to that, some of the Chinese anti-involution strategy that has also got announced. I think all three are actually a big macro positives for the sector, and we hope this will finally start to lead to margin recovery in the sector, which was sort of long due.
Got it. So, Yog, let's get the near-term trajectory then. Year to date, you've done roughly around 14-15% growth in terms of revenues, with margins in the vicinity of around 13.5 to around 14%. What do you end this year with? And on that sort of a base, what growth can you guide for? What about the margin performance from year on? And I think last quarter you did a capex of around 300 crores. Earlier you were talking about 1,000 crores of capex for the year, but you've upped that to around 1,100 crores. So run us through that detail.
Yeah, I think our midterm guidance is there out in the public, and we continue to stand by it. And in general, I think it's been a positive trajectory. All the actions that we outlined to achieve that guidance in terms of cost, operating leverages, and capex-led growth are in the play. Many of the actions around cost and operating leverages are actually already getting implemented. So I think we don't sort of deviate from that. I think from a capex standpoint, we are ballpark there. I think, we said 1,000, now we're at around 1,100 crores because we saw some incremental opportunities in the market, especially in the energy and polymer segment, and hence we decided to do a debottlenecking, so very efficient capex to get incremental capacity out of existing assets. But the annual number is expected to remain around 1,100 crore range.
Okay. Just one final question. Do any of your products come under Section 232, which still attracts higher tariffs?
We will have to go through that. As far as we currently know, right? Okay. But we wait to read the detailed sort of fine print and then have a detailed evaluation. But currently, based on the information available to us, no.
So, Yog, great chatting with you. That's Aarti Industries, was one of the hardest hit stocks post the India tariff, the lack of the India tariff trade deal. And today, you are seeing a surge in the stock price. Stock is up 12% now. Yeah.
Before you go to Bajaj, we have the Bajaj management. PB Fintech, I just want to highlight very quickly. Let's just put the stock up. We reported yesterday, and that was an exclusive, that they're going to announce a fundraise. The PB stock, yeah, there you go. They're going to announce a fundraise, and the announcement came later for an acquisition, for perhaps an international acquisition. The stock sold off 5% yesterday, post the story, and is down another 3% this morning. That's a very large correction, especially, with the positive backdrop we've had. We'll try and get Yash with us as we go along for more clarity, for more details, etc., on this important story. But Rima, take it away.
So Bajaj Auto came out with their Q3 numbers. It turned out to be a good quarter. The company's revenues went up by nearly 19%. EBITDA margins at 20.8% versus 20.2%. And profits were up nearly 19%. We have with us Rakesh Sharma, Executive Director at Bajaj Auto, joining in. Rakesh, normally we would have started by asking you about, exports and, margins, etc. But this time, give us your overarching view on the India-US trade deal. I know predominantly you cater more to Latin America, Africa, so your exports to North America are fairly limited. But how does it change the industry? And it's under Section 232. Broadly, what have you picked up?
Well, it's certainly welcome news. Quantitatively, for Bajaj Auto, exports to the US, which we do under the Triumph and KTM brands, accounts for about a percentage of our total exports. So even when the tariffs went up, we were at an overall basis not really impacted by it. So now when the tariffs are down, the same sort of holds true. However, having said that, as we sort of build up our business with KTM, Austria, and through them accessing markets like US, we do foresee more and more production to shift into India, and therefore we will be making more US relevant products in the future. And I think having these tariffs will be certainly very helpful from that point of view. And beyond that, I think the signal which goes out from a sentiment point of view with US and India aligning. There are so many other things, we trade in US dollars there. And so it's good to have this positive sentiment all around. It's good for trade.
And exports on the whole, monthly you're crossing the 2 lakh mark. So this quarter it's been in excess of 6 lakh. And you've also said that the company expects exports to deliver highest ever top line performance in dollar terms in FY26. How do you see the export momentum, particularly for Q4? Does the 2 lakh momentum get stronger per month? And for FY27, do you have a number in mind?
Well, I think Q4 will sustain at the levels which we have been doing. We've been growing at about 15 to 18%. Q4 tends to be a bit shorter because we tend to complete our exports by 20th of March or so. So you have, in that respect, less number of days. But the tempo should be maintained, and we are hoping to, on the average, still clock over 200,000 units per month as an average in Q4. Going beyond that, we are going to be responding to the market quarter by quarter by quarter. At this point of time, as things are now, it looks as if we will be sort of trying to inch up above this number in FY27. But international business is got these, several moving parts, macroeconomics, geopolitics, etc. So it's very difficult to crystal ball gaze. But at this point of time, we would be looking forward to maintaining this kind of a tempo even in FY27.
Okay, so at least for Q4 near term, that 200,000 plus monthly sales should continue for export. What about margins? If you could talk about the commodity inflation that you have seen in Q3, expectations for Q4, and even in terms of offsetting measures via price hikes.
So the margin story is not a very difficult one at this point of time. Yes, there have been increases on the noble metals package, quite substantial increases, but they have been offset by flattish performance of steel and rubber and some natural products. So on the balance from the commodity side, there has been a little bit of an inflation, which we have taken actions on early Jan to plow those back. Now, as we move forward, that the softness in the Indian rupee has been very, very helpful. And with the rupee trading at 90 plus to the dollar, that is a very significant tailwind. So we're not under any kind of great pressure to manage the margin story given these things. So we will be, but always looking at competition and the impact on demand, etc., and responding to those factors rather than the cost side factors.
So baseline margins of 20% plus should sustain.
Hopefully.
And the EV markets are, you've pulled back good amount of market share, close to 500 basis points. Do you believe you can go even higher from here? And your earlier competitor, Ola, is struggling out there. Have you had a look at their business?
All the time. So
with keen interest, I meant.
Because that we had major supply chain dislocation, both in two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and therefore, quarter three clawing back 5 percentage points of market share and getting back to a firm number 2 after having slipped down the league table is very, very welcome. And almost in the closing period of quarter 3, we also launched our a new edition, which sort of opens up a new segment for the Chetak scooter, nimble, agile Chetak C25, targeted specifically to the youth and women. And that should open up. So the Chetak portfolio has got bolstered, and we will therefore obviously be looking forward to improving our market share in quarter 4. Electric three-wheelers, also we had slipped down, but there the return has been quite rapid. And we are, for the last 2 months now, at the number 1 position. I think January we've exited at about 38% market share in the e-auto segment.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, and always appreciate your time here on CNBC TV 18, sir. And good luck as you continue to execute. I just want to quickly make a mention of what markets are doing before we go any further. 640 odd points higher right now. Look at that. I mean, it's a green-looking screen across the board. Sensex up 2,000 points. You got the Nifty Bank, which is up 1,350 points. That's 2.33%. Mid-cap index is up about 3%. 1,640 points. Beautiful and healthy and all of that stuff, right? And after a long time, because we've been kind of sort of struggling and the mood's been a little off and down, hopefully this is durable over the next many trading sessions. Rupee, of course, is now the dollar rupee, that is, will also come up on your screen. It's saying it opened up 1%. The dollar rupee opened 1% lower. Rupee was up 1%, and there you go on your screen, 1.25%. So under 90 now, and perhaps even beyond that. We'll see. That's the rate this morning. 90.34 for now is where we stand. Should we take a break and come back? Yeah, let's take a quick commercial break. PG Electroplast Management will be with us on the other side.
More earnings reactions. The next one is PG Electroplast. Well, the first half of the year was quite a washout for PG Electroplast. The company's revenues in the first 6 months of this fiscal year went up by 8%. But in Q3, the company has come back very strongly. Q3 revenues have gone up by 45-46%, with the room air conditioning business making a comeback with an 80% top-line growth. It appears to be a lot of channel filling ahead of the January 2026 energy rating change. Vikas Gupta, Managing Director of PG Electroplast, is now joining us on the show. Thank you very much for joining in. So the star this time was the room air conditioning business, but I understand that was on account of the energy changes which come in, and there was a channel filling. So going forward in Q4 or first half of FY27, which is also sort of the peak market for you, what kind of growth should we expect for the RAC business?
Good morning, Rima. Definitely, I would look at like Q3, particularly was marked by the channel filling that has to be done, and the brands were picking up a lot of inventory because of the price increase in the models of different air conditioners based on the rating energy table change. So now that led to the good growth of AC sales in our Q3 numbers. And December was one of the best sales months for us for air conditioners. So we feel going forward in the Q4 of FY26, we are seeing that the inventory is still there in the channel, and that inventory still needs to be picked up. And we are just hoping that the summer onset should start in southern India in next 2 or 3 weeks. We are doing our own channel checks, and still the market has not opened up. So we remain confident that the market should open up, and we should be able to meet the sales guidance that we are given for our company. And we remain optimistic based on the guidance and based on the order book that we have with us from our clients.
Hi, Mr. Gupta. Good to see you. Is there a possibility that you can outbeat this guidance, though? 17 to 19% revenue growth and the PAT number of around 300 crores for FY26?
Good morning, Nigel. So I would like to stick to the revenue guidance that we are given. of 5,800 crores. That I will not like to touch upon right now because we need to see how the next 3 to 4 weeks will look out.
Got it.
January month was a little tough because there was a lot of inventory which was already picked up in the month of December. So we are hopeful that the going period of next 6 to 8 weeks should be better for us.
And PAT will be around 300 crores by the end of this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. What's the update on the compressor JV, sir? We have been talking about that in the past, but what is the latest?
So, Nigel, I would say the compressor thing is still moving, and we are hopeful that we should be able to close in next, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks. We are hopeful, and it is still work in progress. There is a positive movement on that, and let us hope that we should be able to close it in next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, just give us a sense about inventory, because you mentioned that a couple of times that inventory is still high in the system. So could you tell us what is the norm, and in number of days, what is it currently?
So inventory, we need to look at two different levels. One is the inventory at our company level and the inventory in the channel with the trade partners. So when we look at the inventory at our level, the normalized level of inventory in the peak season should not be more than 30 to 40 days.
Okay.
And still we are sitting at almost around 45 to 50 days inventory, which we are expecting that should get normalized in month of February and March. Regarding the channel inventory, yes, there has been a lot of push of the inventory by all the brands to their channel partners before the change of the energy table. So there is a inventory sitting in the channel, and we are just hoping that it gets cleared with the secondary sales picking up in the coming 2-3 weeks.
Vikas, good morning and good to see you again. So stocks up 7%. Just a quick word on commodity price inflation, right? How is that? How are because room ACs, etc. Copper is a big one. Is this going to? We've seen this in previous cycles. You know, it doesn't hurt, and then it suddenly starts to gross margins, etc. start to come under pressure. Your thoughts?
So Prashant, definitely the commodity prices are playing a lot of pressure on the bill of material cost. And we are in active discussion with all of our clients for the price increases. In some cases, we have been able to achieve the price increase. In some cases, still under discussion. Definitely, there is always a lag. Whenever there is a price increase coming in, there is a lag, and we are in discussion. So it might put some pressure on the EBITDA margin, for which we have already guided. If you look at the EBITDA guidance that we're given for FY26 is slightly lower than the EBITDA that we were able to achieve in FY25. So we are hopeful that we should be able to get the price increase done with most of the clients.
And these usually happen annually, or it's there?
So the prices that we settle with our clients are mostly on the monthly and the quarterly basis.
Okay.
We are able to revise the basis on some.
But it's a tough market to get price increases, right? Cost of ACs is already higher because of those energy ratings. So there is that affordability issue, and now this. So it's a tough kind of a space.
So definitely, the competitive intensity is also improved and increased, and getting a price increase in such kind of environment is always tough.
What was the impact of commodity inflation on your margins? Q3 margins were 8.3%. 9 months, we're at, I think, close to 7.5%.
So, Rima, as I told, if you look at the previous 9 months, the hit on the margin was because of the other issues like the inventory carrying cost. It is not largely because of the commodity. The commodity prices have started moving up in the last 3-4 months only. So that impact is still about to come in there. But we are hopeful that we should be able to get the price increase from the clients.
So how many of your clients, what percentage of your clients have accepted a price increase already? What is the extent of price increase?
So the price increase almost is whatever is the commodity increase is always kind of a pass through to all our clients. And I would say in the case of 60 to 70% of the clients, we have already been able to get the price increase.
Yeah. Vikas, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you here and good insights on what's happening with your company and, of course, the industry as well. We wish you all the best. Well, Nigel has walked across to the wall and we're going to talk about stocks, right? Textiles is what we're going to start with. Nigel, take it away.
Well, that's right, Prashant. Just take a look at this. You know, you have the Nifty, you have the Sensex, you have the Nifty Bank. All of them are dancing away in today's trading session. Also pull up the mid-cap index. That's doing very, very well. And by the way, this is the key number that you'll be tracking today. It's been a while since we saw 2,500 stocks that are advancing and the number of stocks declining only around 275. So within that ratio of around 10:1, it's been a long, long while since we saw something like this. But the sector clearly, as you said, is this textile space. So Wellspun Living, that's a stock that's up and about. You have Gokul Das, that's locked in the upper circuit. In fact, you can't, get some of these names because they are up 18 to around 20% or thereabouts. And pull up a few. Himmat Singar as well as another stock that is gaining in today's trading session. So all the textile pack actually is doing well. And Pearl Global, as we heard the management earlier, they said that this is a significant positive for them. So that's why that stock as well is doing well in today's trading session. Into count, last time I checked, that stock was locked in upper circuit. And a lot of them, they're still locked in upper circuit, while some of them have come off the top. Besides that, other stocks that have some exposure to the United States. ADF Foods, that stock, in fact, is moving in today's trading session. So I think we should get ADF Foods up for you on the screen. Doing pretty well in trade today. Carousel is another stock, smaller name, but they have exposure to the United States. So that's why that name is doing well. And we have the management of Aarti Industries. Well, they said as well, there'll be some relief that will be coming out there. And it helps them in terms of competitive intensity globally. So Aarti Industries up more than 10% in today's trading session. So a lot of stocks doing pretty well. On the flip side, I think one of the big losers today is PB Fintech. Yash is exclusive yesterday. Well, that stock was ended lower in trade yesterday. And today, in fact, it's a little bit lower as well. Indian Hotels is another stock, actually, that was doing well. If I remember correctly, there was Goldman Sachs notes that had come in earlier today, and they're rather bullish, and that's why they initiated coverage on Indian Hotels. It's up close to around 2.5%, but from the recent low, that stock has gained close to around 10%. Net, beautiful trading session. Take a look at the screen. It's been a while since we saw the screen like this. And this number, 2,500 stocks advancing, that's what's making your portfolio feel very, very good. Back to you guys.
All right, Nigel, thanks very much for that. So yeah, I mean, it is looking, it's a good-looking, big, grand screen, and it's a big, grand open for now. Mihir Vora is with us, Chief Investment Officer at Trust Mutual Fund. And we also have Rahul Bajoria, Head of India and Asian Economic Research at Bank of America Global Research. Gentlemen, great to have both of you here. Thank you very much for joining us. Rahul, you're the first, I think, economist that we have on. And so let me start with you. I'll give you the first word. So it's a happy occasion. The deal is done. What does this do in terms of growth impulses, terms of sentiment? The stock market is a powerful indicator of it, and we are seeing what's happening there. But beyond that, on a durable basis, what does it do? And any nuance, any detail you'd still wait out for in that sense? Go on.
Sure. So I think, first of all, this particular announcement obviously takes away the months of uncertainty that, both the RBI and the government have been kind of experiencing as far as the growth outlook is concerned. Now, obviously, the one question mark, I have is whether that kind of derails or at least slows down the pace of reforms that we have seen in the last few months. But my sense is that, it could, basically leave India into a situation where, now we have access to large markets globally. From a trade perspective, we obviously have had a fair amount of policy easing, both on monetary and fiscal side. And with the kind of commodity price backdrop we have, we should see a meaningful improvement in the growth outlook. One of the reasons why we did not upgrade our GDP numbers in yesterday's note was we are waiting for some specific details about what kind of import commitments have we made, what kind of sectors have we opened up. Obviously, the fine print matters. But I think it's safe to say that, the sentiment improvement and that we see in asset prices this morning is going to be a pretty big fillip as far as the economy is concerned. And so from here on, we think that the momentum momentum on the economic side, which already was looking pretty okay, to be fair, in the last few months, we have seen the growth numbers holding up. That probably gets a further boost from a sentiment standpoint. And that, my sense is, could easily push growth rates above 7% in the upcoming fiscal year as well.
Yeah, there's a growth impulse as well in that sense. That other point, any specific details still awaited? Have you heard anything? I mean, and people, of course, we'll hear, I'm sure, from the minister here in charge and others as well. But any specifics you're still waiting out for?
So one of the key questions is when President Trump in his Truth Social post had mentioned that India is going to lower its duties to 0%. I think we would want to see whether this is a all-encompassing reduction or are there carve-outs. But I think overall, when we look at the effective tariff rates on India, our back of the envelope calculations were from around 35%. It drops to around 12-13%, and potentially even a bit lower given the changing mix of the exports, towards electronics, which is exempted. So I think net, you will see a meaningful improvement in the competitive landscape of Indian exports. So even if, there are, fine prints and specifics that we are missing, my sense is that the overarching message is that from relative to where we were, say, last week to where we are right now, there is a meaningful boost to competitiveness when you put both the EU deal and the US deal
That's
together.
the export bit, but on the import bit, which you refer to fleetingly, you would expect there will be carve-outs, right? Obviously. I mean, things like agriculture and many other things, despite that post from President Trump.
So I would assume there would be certain carve-outs, but the absolute numbers, I think, have to hold. Right now, the question is, India already imports about $50 billion of goods from the US. So does that mean that we bump it up to $100 billion on a run rate basis, or is this $100 billion on average every year for the next 5 years? Over and above that, I think those are the specific details which are missing. But my sense is that it will be more of a substitution rather than an incremental increase. Remember, India's imports are also going to grow in the next 5 years, which in turn are going to basically place a fair amount of space for India's imports to rise. So I'm less worried about the specificity. I think we have to look at the positive headline impact here in the way policy is going to be framed. And so from that perspective, I think the first reaction is that this is going to be positive for growth. I think what we are basically debating is to what extent is it going to be positive.
So case for GDP upgrades out here in India. Thank you very much, Rahul, for joining in. Mihir Vora, Chief Investment Officer at Trust Mutual Fund, is also with us. Mihir, already 2.5% in the bag so far in the morning. Do you see with this announcement, markets can move up by, say, 10% in the next, by the end of this year, or maybe in the next 6 to 9 months? And what are the big ideas now? Have you been buying this morning?
Good morning. Thanks for calling me on a good day. Yes, it is a big event, and this is one of the key triggers that was holding the market back, and now we have got it. I remember in our weekend show we had discussed 10 days ago about this is the big trigger, so that's happened. And I think yes, 10% is absolutely possible for the markets in due course. May not happen overnight, but the fact is that we are catching up versus the rest of the world in a big way, and we have to, because as we know, as we have seen last year, India was amongst the worst performing markets globally, both in terms of absolute numbers and including the currency. So we have a lot of catching up to do in the currency. We have a lot of catching up to do in the equity markets, and with the underperformance, as we have discussed, the absolute and relative valuations of the market, whether it's in large caps, mid caps, or small caps, have become reasonable. So we're starting off with a low base, very pessimistic sentiment, currency weak. And now with this deal, I think a lot of the FDI, FPI flows, etc., which we are waiting on the sidelines because of this geopolitical uncertainty, will come in. I think the key trigger that we were waiting for is this deal, because it is the key to FDI flows and FII flows, which I think will start coming in a big way now.
Right. Hi, Mir. Good morning. Good to see you. And as they say, right, form is temporary, class is permanent. And hopefully it's our time to shine now after the underperformance you've seen the last 12 to around 15 months. That said, Mir, what are the cash levels you're sitting on? And are you all deploying today? Have you all deployed some money in the last few days? Budget day as well. It seemed there was an over-exaggeration on the downside. And from there, we've seen a good 1,000-point move, actually. What's your allocation strategy as we speak?
So we're keeping normal levels of cash. We had a little higher level of cash, so we are deploying it over the last 2-3 days. And I think it's more about it's going to be more about stock picking, because while the markets are up 2.5%, you do see stocks which had been beaten down, and sectors which had been beaten down on the back of tariffs. They are starting to rebound, and those will create a lot more alpha than the broader market. So it's time to go back to sector and stock picking, and that's what we are trying to do now. The key is that the currency, I think in my view, has been a big factor, And if you see today, the rupee is appreciated by almost 1.2 rupees versus the dollar. And that's going to be the trigger where people now see the geopolitical risk and the currency risk out of the picture. And then if you adjust for that, then the absolute returns in India look very good. So I think we will keep deploying the money over the next few days.
Yeah, 100%. Mihir, a shorter conversation, but punchy and useful to get that quick input from you about where we are at now after this big deal. Congratulations, I can say, as you manage your portfolio, and it'll all be looking good, looking better, much better as compared to where we were yesterday and day before yesterday. Those are visuals coming through right now. And Prime Minister Modi, you can see his top ministers alongside him. You got Mr. Amit Shah, you got
Rajnath
others.
Singh.
Rajnath Singh is there, yes, and there are others as well. I think this is an NDA meeting, right? Where Prime Minister is. Yeah, this is an NDA Parliamentary Party meeting, and we'll have to see if there is a comment or two which comes in from the Prime Minister with regards to the trade deal, and. I know we most definitely will hear something at some point. I'm not sure this will be now, but those are visuals and general sense of enthusiasm, of course, with what's happened last night. And I think it's kind of sort of, anyone is untouched by it. Those in the market, those outside of the market. I think this is good news for the country in terms of settling this very thorny kind of relationship we've had, this path we've been on for the last year plus or so. Yeah, so that's that. We are getting you reaction after reaction. Markets, we got that economist reaction. We'll get you more corporate reactions as well as we go along. But markets leveling off a little bit now. 630 odd points is where we are at this stage. Well, I just want to play out a quick soundbite. Our colleague Chandra from Money Control got a reaction out of President Donald Trump. This was, of course, in Davos. I just want to play that out. President Trump, of course, saying that calling Prime Minister Modi a close friend and expressing confidence of a good deal soon, which has now materialized.
Mr. President, this is Chandra Shrikant from India. Can you give us an update on the India-US trade deal?
First of all, I have great respect for your Prime Minister. He's a fantastic man and friend of mine. We're going to have a good deal.
It was a global exclusive, our colleague Chandra from Money Control on that soundbite. Well, we've got Baba Kalyani, Chairman and Managing Director of Bharat Forge, now with us. Mr. Kalyani, good morning. Great to have you with us here. Thanks very much for joining us. It's a good day. And I think the sentiment, of course, is upbeat. It's reflected through stock markets, rupee, etc., etc. But as an industry leader running a variety of businesses, what's your perspective on this before we get down to implications for Bharat Forge and specific businesses?
Well, as far as industry is concerned, you can't get up any day morning for this kind of news that we've been waiting for such a long time. It's been a very, very positive development, and I'm very happy that, we have got everything done as far as India-US trade deal is concerned. It's not just about trade, it's also about relationship. It's also about the future, and I think this fosters very good doings for India. I think congratulations to our Prime Minister, our Commerce Minister for making this happen.
Mr. Kalyani, morning, and thank you for joining us on this historic day. But just to get to the nitty-gritties, for Bharat Forge, what percentage of your sales come from North America or US in particular? And what percentage of your product portfolio will now attract 18%? And how much will come under Section 232, the national security tariffs, where the tariffs would be higher? Do you have any clarity?
Well, we don't have any clarity. Largely, the products that were going for passenger cars were with Section 232. But I believe from whatever I've heard from this morning from the U.S. and late last night, that Section 232 also is under discussion between India and the U.S. to bring it all to a levelized tariff of 18%.
Have you had any
Yeah.
Okay. So what percentage will come under 18%? Sorry, I didn't get that number.
For us, we believe almost everything will come under 18%.
Okay.
And if we look at our exports traditionally used to be in the region of about 500 to 550 million on a revenue of roughly about 1 billion. So 50% of our exports were to North America. 50% of our revenue came from North America. Now our revenues are much higher than 1 billion. So we are expecting our exports to almost go to a level of close to 1 billion. Not all will be from North America, but roughly about $700-800 million will be from North America in the coming year.
Have you had any conversations, sir, with your customers regarding the cut in the tariffs?
Yeah, we have had some conversations. Actually, it's too early to have conversations with customers, but I want to say one thing. We've been discussing with our customers for almost the last 1 year, and I must say that all our customers in North America have been immensely supportive. We are very grateful to them for working with Bharat Forge and believing in us and believing in India to continue their path for long-term global strategic engagement. So I think, this whole idea about resilience in the supply chain has worked out and it's been great, and I think the future will be even greater.
All right. Hi, Mr. Kalyani. Good morning and good to see you in. You're saying that, that ambitious target with regard to the exports and exposure to North America, you want to put a timeline to it?
Well, this is the timeline for 26-27, this coming year from April.
Got it. All right. What about, sir, how's demand on ground? We're getting mixed trends that we're hearing about. So given that now we have this out of the way, is demand good enough?
Demand was a little slow for the last 6-8 months because the commercial vehicle, the heavy-duty trucks, demand itself had gone down by 50%. But all indications are that the coming quarter, we will see almost about a 20-25% rise in our exports compared to the last quarter, and then another 20-25% rise in the quarter after that. So in 2 quarters, I would say the demand will come back to what was originally anticipated as 100%.
Mr. Kalyani, just very briefly, you said U.S. exports will rise to $1 billion and...
No, to $800 million.
To $800 million this year. That is FY 26 or 27?
No. Our total exports will rise to 800 million from a level of 400 million for this fiscal year.
Okay.
So it'll almost double.
Okay, that is FY 27. And of course, I mean, all of that.
FY 27, correct, yeah.
Okay. So on the defense side, right, we had a big allocation increase in the budget on Sunday. So any brief thoughts? I mean, what it does for that business?
I think the defense business will also grow. I think largely it depends on how fast the decision-making process takes place. We have a lot of work in progress on many programs, many platforms. We are exporting roughly about $30 million a quarter in defense, roughly. And I think that will continue. So overall, the defense looks very good. We're also setting up our new facility in Andhra for making new products. So let's see. I mean, right now we're in a silent period, so I can't give you too much forward-looking statements on this. Yeah.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Kalyani. Thank you very much for joining us and being with us on this. As you said, well, you don't get up every day to this kind of news flow. So this is certainly very, very good news. Thank you once again, and appreciate your time as always on CNBC TV 18. Take a quick commercial break here. We got about 600 points on the Nifty. Manisha Gupta will be with us to focus on commodities on the other side. Stay tuned.
Fly Emirates, fly better.
My bhai, do you know any cool bank जो digital first हो?
SBI coolest है.
What?
Digital loans 30 मिनट. AI models 140 plus. Yono users 9 करोड़. Daily UPI transactions 33 करोड़.
Cool तो है.
चलो. SBI, the banker to every Indian. Truly.
Luxury, heritage and valor are timeless.
Let them grow on you. Royal Ranthambore, India's finest yet.
It's challenging to know which sector may perform next. Data, tech, and AI help our fund managers spot suitable sector opportunities. Presenting Geo BlackRock Sector Rotation Fund. NFO closes the 9th of February 2026. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible, and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोबूट का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
Premium Plus by Century ProWood.
आंधी आए तो पर्वत बन जाऊंगा,
आग लगे तो दरिया बन जाऊंगा,
भूख लगे तो रोटी बन जाऊंगी।
ये कर पाएंगे क्या? इनका तो पता नहीं, और उसने तो कर दिखाया। कोटक फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड 15 सालों से मार्केट के अप्स एंड डाउन्स में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के साथ लार्ज, मिड और स्मॉल कैप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है,
जिससे इन्वेस्टर्स को लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टेड रहने का हौसला भी मिलता है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Welcome back. Let's talk commodities. Manisha is now joining in. Manisha, for so many days, the movement, the action in commodities overshadowed equities. But I guess we can say not today. But what's happening in your world?
Oh, well, absolutely. Today, absolutely not today. But you know what is happening in commodities as well is after that very, very sharp declines that we've seen in last couple of sessions, we're looking at commodities coming back as well. So whether it is about precious metals, base metals, energy, all of that is trading in the positive. Not so for the crude oil prices. Well, yesterday was a more than 4% of a decline, which is the biggest decline in 6 months that we've seen come in for the crude oil prices. And after that decline as well, 66 is just about holding on the screen. So 4% of a decline in the overnight markets, but it is still trading 8% in positive for 2026 so far right now. Well, a couple of things to watch out for. One is that the US and Iran conversations have resumed. There are positive statements coming in from both sides, and there is an expectation that US and Iran could continue dialogue starting this Friday itself. The second is about the dollar index, where we have seen that one gain up to a one-week highs. Not so good for many of these dollar-denominated commodities, and is the reason the prices are in check. The third thing is about the OPEC meeting. Well, that has come and gone and nothing has been said. OPEC says that for the month of March, for this quarter, they're not going to be increasing production. Remember, in the last year, from April until December, OPEC did bring in nearly 2.9 million barrels per day back into the market, which is 3% of the global demand. Most importantly, though, is the US lowering tariffs on India from 50 to 18%. And of course, that has been done. One of the reasons there is, or one of the clauses there is, that India will stop buying the Russian oil. Well, India will have to buy more oil from US and even Venezuela for that matter. And the numbers do show that India has bought more from US and Venezuela for the month of January there. Take a look at the Russian share really. In FY20, it was 3% of India's imports. By FY25, we saw that number increase to almost 35%. Now, that really has been a concern. But when you look at the overall numbers as well, it has been going down in last few months. There is a report put forth by Reuters which says the highest that India imported from Russia stood at around 2 million barrels per day. That declined to an 11-month lows of around 1.3 million barrels per day in the month of December there. January is expected at 1.2 million barrels per day, and what has already been contracted will perhaps continue to come till the month of March. It could be 1 million barrels per day in the month of Feb, and by March is expected to decline to 0.8. But the thing also is that India oil purchase, Russia, of course, India buys nearly from 41 countries at this point in time, and the OPEC share of India is at 11-month highs right now. Now, markets do believe that as India shifts to other countries, the discounted oil benefit that India has had perhaps will go out, because the Russian oil was cheaper by $5, even $10 at some point in time. Now India will have to buy at world prices with higher shipping costs, insurance, freight rates, etc. And that will take the prices on the higher side. There's a report from SBI which estimates that Russian oil imports going out and India coming into the markets now will mean that our bill for fuel imports is going to go up for the next fiscal.
All right. Thanks very much, Manisha, for that. Commodities there in focus. Nigel has walked across to the wall once again, and we are, of course, doing these market checks because, well, there is a lot of stuff worth checking out. Nigel, take it away.
Well, Prashant, we started off with a 1,200-point gain. The last time I checked, we were up only around 600 points. So I'm hoping that the Nifty actually can at least keep up with this pace. Hopefully, we go home with gains of close to around 5 to around 600 points or thereabouts. The advancing number of stocks, though, that's still encouraging at around 2,500 stocks. Well, the big boy has come to the party. Reliance Industries, that's been doing a bit of the heavy lifting, and that one's holding up in trade. So when the big boy is up 4%, and I'll tell you what, it's taken off a couple of technical levels, which were at around 1,420. And when Reliance Industries moves, the other one that derives a lot of its value from there is Geo Financial. So that one as well is up close to around 7%. Remember, on the way down, that got harder hit. Now it's rebounding in trade. But there are textile names, and I'm trying to get a few more textile names up for you on the screen. You have Kitex that should come up for you. That's locked up close to around 20%. The other one is SP Apparel, so smaller name. So we have the larger names that are doing well, and now the smaller ones as well up and about. Some more stocks that have some exposure to the United States. Apar Industries, I recall Mr. Desai had spoken to us here on CNBC TV 18. In the last few quarters, though, there has been some slowdown. But however, in today's trading session, Apar Industries is one of the top gainers, up close to around 15% as we speak. Add to the list a Cosmo First that's come to the party. These are stocks that have seen a sharp correction from the top. Even a PCBL, I recall the promoter entity had infused money at around these levels. That stock is well moving higher on rather good volumes. The few more big movers that we're seeing in today's trading session, whether you're looking at Technocraft, Avanti Foods, you have CG Palm, as well as Sterlite Tech. So a lot of stocks are participating in trade. And BSE, what happened to the STT? Well, the stock now is higher than what it was on the day of the budget. It rallied yesterday, and today as well, it put on some more weight. Add to the list, Grow. That's the other stock that's up and about in today's trading session. But we need to highlight a few losers as well, because this market has come off the top. So Misho is under some pressure. That stock, in fact, is losing in trade. You have Paradeep Phosphates. That's another stock that's lower in trade. Walchand Nagar continues to see some selling, and PB Fintech as well. But net, the number that you're celebrating is the Nifty. The Nifty is up close to around 2.5%. The Sensex holds with gains as well. And the advanced ratio is something that you like. We haven't seen this in the while. Don't let it slip. Hopefully, we go home with some solid gains by the time we wind up today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much for that. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll connect with Shantanu Sen-Gupta of Goldman Sachs and Chandresh Jain of BNP Paribas and continue our discussion on the India-US trade deal.
You want to talk business? Meet me in the On-Board Lounge.
रश्मि, ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ। छोटे-छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े-बड़े अखाड़े। नए-नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। पर बेटा, इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
अभी तो इसकी जीत के इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे। अपनों से किए सभी वादे। SBI लाइफ अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए।
एक और फैमिली ने रखा कदम अपने नए घर में, टाटा कैपिटल होम लोन्स के साथ।
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible, and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है.
The best investment one can make in life is finding the right life partner. That's why we created VIPshadi.com. Register now.
पापा फीस ज्यादा है।
बेटा
याद है बोनस के कुछ पैसे हमने दूसरे खाते में रखे थे?
2 साल से खाते में कोई लेन देन नहीं हुआ है, शायद इनऑपरेटिव हो गया होगा।
तो अब बैंक जाके या वीडियो केवाईसी से केवाईसी अपडेट कराओ, खाता होगा एक्टिव एकदम फ्री। चलो
कहाँ?
एडमिशन कराने, खाता हुआ एक्टिव।
आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
पता है ये लंबी सी मेट्रो लाइन क्यों बनी? सिर्फ इसलिए कि पापा जल्दी घर पर आए और ये दोनों उनकी गोदी में छलांग मार पाए। कहीं एक नई रोड ने साइंस को शहर से गांव तक पहुंचाया, ताकि पूर्णी चांद तक पहुंचने का सपना देख पाए। और हमारे जवानों के कदम कभी ना रुके, सिर्फ इसलिए कहीं एक मजबूत पुल बना है। देश के नंबर 1 सीमेंट अल्ट्राटेक में हम मानते हैं कि इंडिया बनता रहेगा तो आगे बढ़ता रहेगा। अल्ट्राटेक सीमेंट बनेगा तो बढ़ेगा इंडिया।
My son Ishan will become a doctor, a big doctor. My Ishan will be a scientist. So what's Ishan going to be?
Ishan?
Whatever Ishan becomes, LIC's Amrit Bal Children Policy will always be there for him. बड़े सपनों का रखे ख्याल।
Welcome to It's the Economy. The grammar for the Indian currency and bond markets has changed overnight, very sharply, after the announcement of the imminent signing of the US-India trade deal. Now, how do the macros change? How much more can the rupee rally? And how does this change the playing field for the RBI at its Friday policy? Joining me to discuss these are Shantanu Sengupta, Chief Economist at Goldman Sachs India, and Chandresh Jain, the FX strategist at BNP Paribas. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. Shantanu, how does it change the macros? Are you going to up the growth forecast? Are you going to change your view of even bonds, as the amount of money moving out of India will probably decline?
Yeah, I think the clear positive is Indian growth, although the details are unclear at this stage. So what we know is a couple of Truth Social and X tweets, and the release from the PMO has come in only about half an hour back, but it doesn't really have details of how the deal is going to look like. But what is clear is that we are going towards 18% from overall aggregate 50% tariffs. So I think there's some clear upside to growth. We had not baked in the incremental or the additional tariff of 25% because of Russian oil purchases in 2026, because our view was that we'll get a deal done by Q1. But still, on the first 25%, the reciprocal tariff coming down to 18%, there is some upside to growth. On rates, I think this clearly means, in our view, that the RBI is done. I mean, in any case, our view was that the RBI doesn't cut from here on, but we had a risk case where the deal doesn't get done, and in that kind of a case, if growth, if there's a further downside to growth, the RBI could be moving maybe 25 basis points further. We would say now that that's out of contention, because the RBI, we think, now stays on hold. They'll stay on neutral. They will try to do whatever is required in terms of providing liquidity, but no further rate action is what we would be in.
Would the need for liquidity also decline somewhat, Shantanu? After all, there was dollar deposits moving out. That it detracts from the deposit growth. So, is there some kind of more liquidity available?
Yeah, I think on balance, what you would find is that the requirement for incremental OMOs can come down if you have FX inflows or lesser outflows. So whichever way you cut it, if the net FX is positive for the economy, you will just have lesser requirement for either doing OMOs or doing buy-sell dollar swaps.
Okay.
But remember, we still have a close to $65 billion worth of short forwards, which in our view, the RBI will try to knock off and come to a more reasonable number, maybe around $30 billion or $40 billion odd. And therefore, we would expect them, that dollars to not necessarily hit the market, and we wouldn't bake in a large amount of FX appreciation. Okay. But I think the pressure that you've had on the currency and on liquidity, as you pointed out, is going to be clearly lower if you have FII inflows.
Okay, well, that's clearly up Chandresh's street. Chandresh, what are you looking at in terms of rupee levels? One factor will be what Shantanu is saying, the FX swaps that are open for the RBI. And the other factor is that RBI anyway has been against volatility on both sides. So your range and your reasoning.
Sure. Thank you, Lata, for having me on the show. I think the new range now should be around 88 to 89. So we still see more appreciation on the INR now after the deal has done. Secondly, I think once we go to 88, 89 kind of levels, RBI might try to hold some of the dollars which will come to the Indian markets. They will try to increase their FX reserves and decrease their forward book where they are short. So I don't think it's a big rally, which you should expect, but a little bit of more rally towards 88 as it's definitely possible from here on.
Okay. Now, when we were sitting on Friday last at 91.99 and the RBI holding 92, we will take 88 with both hands. But Shantanu, will the Reserve Bank be so worried, or rather, won't it be worried if it goes to 88? Would it not rather keep it a little south? Because there is an advantage if the currency is low but stable.
Yeah, our view is exactly what you pointed out, Lata, that, we think that the RBI will refrain from an excessive appreciation in the currency. And they will try to, either build reserves or knock off the forwards, is what our view is. Because you remember the first part of the currency adjustment was the adjustment in the RER, which was quite expensive around the same time last year, and you've corrected now to about 95 odd. And our view is that the RBI would not like to let it appreciate meaningfully further, especially at a time when you would want to shore up your external balances. So our view would be that they will try to hold the line around 90 to 92 and not let it appreciate much further.
Okay. Well, today that seems to be the behavior, but of course I'm only picking up from dealer chatter. But Chandresh, did you hear of the Reserve Bank today buying dollars? And secondly, you're betting that FPIs will come. What has changed now is the sentiment. And maybe, in a sense, the export flows because we expect them to resume what could have been, outcompeted. Is there a guarantee that FPIs will come? I mean, they can still find arguments like no AI stocks or expensive Indian valuations. Are you betting on the FPIs returning?
Okay, so two parts of your question. Yes. Firstly, I don't think RBI is there in the market today. I think they still want to see more appreciation. And I say that with confidence because a couple of things are happening. One, with this, sentiment will change a lot. India's sentiment was very, very weak, especially from the foreign investors. They were worried about currency depreciation. They were worried about Indian equities getting sold off quite quickly. With this, I think both the things can benefit. Some flow will come back to Indian equities. And my sense is that with this, the growth number also look better, which means the earnings will also look better, which means foreign investors would like to have more Indian equities in their portfolio. And then the currency appreciates on the back of that. That's why I said 88 to 89.
Okay.
Secondly, if you observe, the oil prices have also dropped in last couple of days. Gold prices have dropped in last couple of days, which will also help the trade balance. And therefore, it aligns the perfect environment for INR to appreciate.
Okay.
And the last thing I would point is, typically March is one of the month when a lot of corporates repatriate their foreign income to onshore because of the fiscal year end in March. So that will also benefit INR.
Oh, absolutely. Many people were hoping to pencil in a BOP surplus for the Jan-March quarter for the reasons you are saying. But the January behavior has, made people change their mind the way in which the rupee fell. Shantanu, what's your sense? Two macro questions for you. What are you betting on in terms of a BOP surplus this quarter and FY27? And secondly, how much does growth improve? After all, we tightened our belts, reduced costs, sought new markets when we were faced with the adversity. This could be payback time. So how much can you add to macro GDP growth numbers?
The growth one first. If you look at the tariffs getting reduced by about 7 percentage points, and I'm saying 7 percentage points because we had not baked in the incremental 25% additional tariffs from the Russian oil purchasers, that would mean anywhere in the region of 10 to 20 basis points directly from the net export channel. But the bigger sentiment change would be boosting, with a lag, of course, the private capex cycle. I think the conversation about realignment of supply chains, investments back in India for those kind of realignments of the supply chains had sort of died down a little bit in the last 2 or 3 quarters. And now that you have the trade deal, I think some of those conversations will come back on the front foot, and these capital commitments will possibly start coming in, albeit with a lag, possibly in the second half of the year. So you can have a little bit further growth upside from there. Again, we had estimated about 30 basis points drag just from investment uncertainty last year. So some of that will start getting reversed. So medium term, we think this is quite positive for growth. On the first part, which is the balance of payments, we'll have to look at the details of the trade deal to understand what exactly the impact on the current account is. There are some import channels which we will open up also possibly, right? Because you're bringing down your own tariffs or opening up your markets in some of these segments. The second is that if the oil markets are going to shift now a little bit, that Russian oil purchases from India is going to come down, and we are going to import from elsewhere. The net effect of that is also going to matter. So on the current account, we think about 10 to 20 basis points maybe in terms of upside, and on the growth also we would think anywhere between 10 to 25 or 30 basis points of upside, depending on at what point of time you bake in the upside from the investment channels.
Okay, fair point. This calls for a longer discussion, but out of time, we have a string of guests and analysts lined up. Thank you very much, Shantanu and Chandresh, for throwing more light on how we should look at the macros. 25 to 30 basis points higher GDP when we are standing at some, 6.7 average on the street for FY27. The chief economic advisor is saying 6.8 to 7.2. Now, I think people will move to the higher level of that band in terms of GDP. That's good news. We wrap up on that positive note. Chartbusters coming.
आंधी आए तो पर्वत बन जाऊंगा, आग लगे तो दरिया बन जाऊंगा,
भूख लगे तो रोटी बन जाऊंगी।
ये कर पाएंगे क्या? इनका तो पता नहीं, और उसने तो कर दिखाया। कोटक फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड 15 सालों से मार्केट के अप्स एंड डाउन्स में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के साथ लार्ज, मिड और स्मॉल कैप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, जिससे इन्वेस्टर्स को लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टेड रहने का हौसला भी मिलता है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
तेरा ये बिजनेस एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है यार, है ना? पर मुझे लोन कौन देगा यार?
बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा देगा तुम्हें MSME लोन। बॉब डिजी उद्यम के साथ 100% डिजिटल प्रोसेस, अप्रूवल इन मिनट्स। बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से MSME लोन लेना भी एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है।
Bittu and Kittu. Same. Tattoo Vattu. Same. Summer vacations. Same. Houses, cars. Same.
But mileage not same. But how does yours give so much more mileage? Ask this question not just to your car but also to your fuel. Good fuel means better mileage. Petrol at GOBP with international active technology increases mileage up to 100 kilometers per year. And diesel gives up to 4.3% more mileage at no extra cost.
Now their mileage.
Same.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
उत्तराखंड में मुख्यमंत्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी के नेतृत्व में राज्य सरकार सड़क कनेक्टिविटी के साथ साथ ग्रामीण इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को भी नए सिरे से सशक्त कर रही है। आज गांवों को जोड़ने वाली सड़कों के साथ मजबूत पुल, सुरक्षित कलवर्ट और ऑल वेदर रोड्स बन रही हैं, जिससे साल भर आवाजाही संभव हो रही है।
हम राज्यों में सड़कों की कनेक्टिविटी को मजबूत करने के लिए पूर्ण प्राथमिकता के साथ निरंतर कार्य कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि मेरा मानना है हमारी सड़कें ही विकास का द्योतक होती हैं। ये वो पथ है जिस पर आगे चलकर सर्वश्रेष्ठ उत्तराखंड का स्वप्न साकार होगा।
ये सड़कें गाँव में सिर्फ रास्ते ही नहीं बल्कि पेयजल योजनाएं, सामुदायिक भवन, आंतरिक संपर्क मार्ग, स्ट्रीट लाइट्स, ड्रेनेज सिस्टम और डिजिटल कनेक्टिविटी में भी तेजी से विकास ला रही हैं। अब किसान बाजार तक, छात्र स्कूल और मरीज समय पर अस्पताल पहुंच रहे हैं।
उत्तराखंड में जो जितनी भी सड़क बनी है वो जो है बहुत अच्छी अवस्था में, गांव में बोलो चाहिए जो है ऑल वेदर रोड की बात करें, मैं पुनः जो है धामी जी का जो है बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा।
आज बेहतर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के साथ उत्तराखंड के गांव आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं, जहां विकास दिखता ही नहीं, महसूस भी होता है।
अगर हर जगह फुल फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी चाहिए तो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में क्यों नहीं? अब अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को दो फुल फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी का एडवांटेज विद फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड्स। म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना संबंधी सभी दस्तावेज सावधानी पूर्वक पढ़ें।
This is Network 18 and you're watching CNBC TV 18.
India and the United States seal a historic trade deal which sees a tariff on Indian goods cut to 18% from earlier 50%. The Nifty opens with a record gap up of over 1,200 points, currently holding with a gain of 725 points. The broader market gains in line with key indices. It's green all over the screen.
Sectors that take the spotlight. First up, textiles. Once the worst hit sector with a 50 to 70% revenue exposure to the United States is now flying high. Gokuldas, KPR Mills, Wellspun Living all surge as India with 18% tariff is now better placed in comparison to exporters like Bangladesh and Vietnam.
The reduced 18% levy is expected to help auto ancillaries sustain global order inflows and margins as well. Bharat Forge's Baba Kalyani tells CNBC TV 18 that demand could rise 25% as soon as next quarter.
Fears of volume and margin pressure set to wane for shrimp exporters. The United States is India's most critical shrimp market, forming 48% of India's shrimp export value in FY25. Shares of Avanti Feeds, Apex Frozen Foods extend gains in trade today.
Chemical stocks are the big beneficiaries of the India-US historic trade deal. SRF, Navin Fluorine, Vinity Organics, all of them have significant exposure to the US. Everyone up between 5 to 7%.
Hello and welcome to Chartbusters. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio. I'm Nigel, with me is Mangalam, and as you can see, the screen is green. You have a lot of stocks that are flying around. The Nifty is holding with gains of around 700 points. There was a bit of an intraday dip. We started off 1,200 points higher. We came down to around 550-point gain, but now we're back up with a 720-point gain. Hopefully, Mangalam, we end somewhere in this vicinity. You would like to go home with some big gains today, but the screen is green. It's been a long time since we got a chance to say that.
It's been a long time in Nigel. You know, who would have thought that on a Sunday where the market was sub 25,000, sub 25,600, 24,600 as well, from the budget day lows, we've seen a near 1,300, 1,400 point rally, and it's just been a Tuesday.
Yeah.
As they say, right? There are some months where nothing happens, and then there are some weeks where months happen, and that's exactly what has happened. And we're not only done with all the triggers for this week. On Friday, we have the RBI policy coming in as well. So all of this just compressed into one short month, one short week.
Well, that's right, Mangalam. It feels like we are playing that long test and we need to dig deep because we need to pull through another 3 days. So let's get straight to a couple of managements.
All right, let's get straight to a couple of managements, and both of them are likely beneficiaries of the India-US trade deal. To what extent and what could the near-term impact be? We do have Chanchal S. Rajura, who's the Director of Finance at Transformers and Rectifiers. We have Rakesh Tiwari, who's the Group CFO, Raymond, joining in as well. Chanchal, coming to you first, if you could give us a sense on what proportion of your overall exposure is to the US, how much of that is to the EU, and at the same time, if you could also give us a sense on whether it'll be easier for you to go there now because of the tariff, or there are some other competitive factors as well. Because on the one hand, it's fair to say, okay, numerically 50% has come down to 18%. But in practicality, to be able to entrench yourself in these markets and compete against others is a difficult thing as well. So start with you, Chanchal.
Morning, Mangalam. Morning, Nigel. Actually, I must say that on 26th, we celebrate our Republic Day, and it looks like we are celebrating our Republic Week. First, a good deal with the EU, then a very good long vision budget, and now this US deal. So things are going very good for the country. As far as coming to the industry of us, let me tell you that it's quite a very, very good news for us, because we have been looking to this particular things since long, because the markets are in these particular territories are opening up for the companies like us in good numbers, particularly in the coming years, which is coming up. If you talk about US, at the moment we were holding around 150 million plus inquiries with the US, and we were just going slow because of this uncertainty which is going on, and now we will go full flow basis to close them very, very quickly. And apart from that, for particularly for the company like me, this is not only an opportunity to sell the transformer to US, but also the backward integration components which we are doing is going to be a great thing for us.
Right.
Because US doesn't have these products available there, and so as EU doesn't have.
Right.
And with the EU...
Mr. Rajora, clearly, we're getting the point. You're saying that this is a big positive for the country as well as for your company. So good on that. Give us a few details. Exports is how much as a percentage of your revenue mix? Around 13%?
Export is around 13%, 13%. And out of that, around 25% goes to these two places.
All right, to United States as well as EU.
So net exposure is just about 5%, 5-6% maximum.
No. 25% of our total exports basically is going to these two places.
Correct. So 4%.
We were holding it because of the uncertainties was going on, and you will see a significant growth now in these two particular things.
Can you give us an absolute number, sir? United States would be how much of your mix? Around 150 crores?
Yes, that's right.
150 crores, and at the EU
right now, Nigel, I tell you, is about we have around 1,200 crore rupees of inquiries at very, very high levels going with only United States.
So, Mr. Rajora, what you're telling us is that this number from around 150 crores in the next 3 years or so, do you see it go to around 500 crores or even more than that?
Present inquiry level is that much. It's on a very advanced.
So in terms of revenues, it could potentially go up 3-4 times from here as well, the exposure to the United States?
Yes, definitely. You see that, please understand one thing, in the United States, right? The United States from next year is coming up with a replacement market of the power transformers. And India is the natural ally for that because they don't have the capacity and they can't rely on the other countries, right? So that is going to be a significant increase, and a company like Trill and company Tyreland like VHL are going to be the biggest beneficiary for that.
Right.
And second thing is this: the inverter duty transformers requirement is coming up in a huge number from EU and US now for the next 4 years requirement. So these two are going to be the game changer for our industry in years to 3 years to come, and particularly the company like us.
Got it. Right. We'll come back to you, Mr. Rajora, for a little more clarity on that. For now, what we understand is that the opportunity is large, even though the current numbers aren't as big. Mr. Tiwari, let's come to you now. Raymond already has a fair amount of exposure. If you could quantify that, what's the net exposure to the US and how much is that likely to grow by because of this cut in tariffs? And in the very near term, what kind of improvement in your margins can you see because of something like this?
Morning, everyone. First of all, you have to understand that this is a very structurally positive steps for the Indian manufacturing exporters. And Raymond is well positioned to benefit across two different businesses. I mean, both across lifestyle and also across the airspace business. You have to understand one thing, that this step has given a lot of competitive gains so far your margin and earning is concerned. And having said that, you see the products of Raymond's were always class apart so far the quality is concerned. Now this support in terms of the tariff which has come for almost all the goods other than the goods which are there under section 232, where the tariff is still 25%, but for other goods it has gone down up to 18%. This gives a great opportunity for us in terms of capturing the white space which is there not only in US but also in UK, which has just.
If you could give us some numbers, Mr. Tiwari, if you could give us some numbers, because you know what we understand is it's about 30-35% of your garmenting business, and the garmenting business by itself is about 25% of your overall revenue.
Correct.
So are we looking at somewhere close to 7-8% coming in from the US?
So as of today, for my total export which is happening, that is close to around 12% of my total turnover, out of which 6% comes from the US. I mean, the 50% used to come from the US. Now, with this steps, we see a very huge growth which is happening in terms of the US demand coming up in the next couple of years, simply because not only the reduction in the tariff, it gives a great impetus for us as compared to Vietnam and Bangladesh, where the tariff is still 20%. In case of India, it has gone down to 18%. So that also gives us an impetus in terms of capturing the market in the US in a very big way.
Mr.
So
Tiwari,
we expect that today the market which we are capturing close to 6% of our turnover, that is going to become in the double digit in the near future. We'll go definitely up to 10 to 12% of the total export which we are doing today. That alone is going to come from the US market.
So, Mr. Tiwari, ballpark, you'll be in the vicinity of around 450 to around 550 crores to the United States right now. Will that be a fair estimate?
Exactly, even more than that, close to 500 crore will reach the target of from the United States.
From the United States, and you're saying that in the next 3 years or so, that number goes to around 1,000 crores exposure to the United States?
Close to 1,000 to 1,200 crore in the United States. Yes.
Brilliant.
What you said is right.
And I think in the recent past, you've said that the government dependency to the United States had reduced from around 50% to around 35%. Now, with this deal being struck, hopefully you go back to around 50%. Would that be a fair estimate?
Exactly, because see, from yesterday only, we started getting a lot of the connects have already been activated, and we started getting a lot of what do you call it?
You must have been up very late, sir, if you're already getting the calls in the night.
Exactly.
I think maybe some of his associates were also up late. he was getting an update from there. But Mr. Tiwari, you know,
all-nighter.
US is one. What about EU? You said, 6% comes in from the US. How much of that comes in from EU? And what has the change been there for you? How much is the exposure currently? How much do you think that will increase by?
We have a big presence in as a company in Raymond Europe Limited. We have got an office over there. And with this FTA deal which is coming, it gives us a great boundary line, and it gives us an impetus in terms of growing into Europe also. So today, we have already increased in Europe post this tariff. I mean, earlier, close to 3 to 4% out of the total one was going to Europe, which has increased to 5%. Now we see this, with this FTA, it is going to double up in the next 12 to 18 months.
All right, so both US and European business can double for you in the next 12 to 18 months, both of them accounting for over 1,000 crores each in your overall revenue. taking your exposure to both these geographies to about 2,000, 2,500 crores. Take that point.
In the next 2 to 3 years.
In the next 2
to 3 years, that is what we are contemplating.
All right, take that point. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Tiwari. Good luck. You've had an all-nighter. I'd suggest you rest and then maybe pull another one in the night where you will get a lot more inquiries coming in, hopefully, given the conversations that you're having with them. But Mr. Arora, just a final question to you. You said that you have 1,200 crore worth inquiry already from the US, while your revenue is about 150 crores. Importantly, what I want to know, you said next year there will be a change in the US power transformer systems, which will open up a bigger market for you, but that will also open up bigger competition for you as well, right? Because now if you're exporting to the US, India is not the only country. You'll have competition from all the other global players as well. What, in your opinion, will make you best placed to get that sort of market share from there? And of this 1,200 crores, how much do you expect for you to win in terms of actual orders?
Please understand that which are the major countries which are producing the power transformers and have got the capacity available. It is India and China, because Korea doesn't have that much capacity available with them. And with the pricing levels and with the production availability what we have here, India is going to be the natural ally for the US, not only for the transformers but all capital goods industries. This is going to be the biggest factor on this issue. You need to understand machinery is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries for this. Competition is going to be really open up, but please understand on the power sector, there are very few players available in globally who can produce the quality products and who can supply the quality transformers for the countries like US and not also to the countries like UK, where national grid is also expanding after almost 45-50 years. Okay. So the companies like us is going to be the biggest beneficiaries, or BHEL is going to be the beneficiary for these kind of things. So this stand very well. And apart from that, there is a huge opportunity of the inverter duty transformers is coming up, which is the very significant in terms of the volume.
Right. Okay, Mr. Arora, thanks a lot for joining in. As you're saying, it's a significant positive, and as time passes, both your companies will gain considerably. Appreciate you joining in here on CNBC TV 18. We'll catch up soon and we'll track those numbers that you give us. For the time being, though, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, we have another player that's waiting for us. Ether Energy, that one delivered a healthy set of numbers. We'll touch base with the management on the other side.
There are too many choices in mutual funds. I really don't know where to begin.
So equity, debt, and hybrid funds, they all sound like jargon to me. And I really don't know which one's right for me.
Yes, it's true there are many funds available in Indian markets, but I think each of them specify a particular goal which you can adopt it for. Just to give some examples, if you're looking for capital appreciation, long-term growth, then probably equity funds are better for you. If you're looking for stable income, maybe preservation of capital, maybe you're looking at debt funds. Within the debt fund category, there are multiple categories. You have money market instruments, you have liquid instruments, you have corporate bond funds, and depending on the duration which you're looking for, each of these funds can be used. Hybrid funds are a combination of both. In a hybrid fund, typically a fund manager will invest a certain portion of money in equity and a certain portion of money in debt, and thereby giving you a balanced risk return reward. All of them are over a period of time, and all of them are meant to give you choices based on your needs.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
फाइनली हमारा घर।
तुम्हारी जिद का नीचा
मैं नहीं होती तो तुम्हारा क्या होता?
इनकी जिद ने आज इन्हें दिया एक परमानेंट एड्रेस टाटा कैपिटल होम लोन्स के साथ।
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है।
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है।
यार सोच रहा हूँ पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लेता हूँ ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना। तू भी ले ले।
यार अभी तो यंग है यार, बाद में देखते हैं। आजा।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
हर जीत की शुरुआत होती है छोटे छोटे कदमों से और हर छोटी तैयारी बदल सकती है पूरा नतीजा। क्योंकि मैदान हो या जिंदगी, छोटी से छोटी तैयारी ही देती है प्रोटेक्शन और प्रोटेक्शन ही देता है भरोसा। जैसे LIC की बीमा लक्ष्मी, एक खास प्लान सिर्फ महिलाओं के लिए जहां छोटी बचत दे बड़ी सुरक्षा, ताकि जिंदगी के हर मैदान में आप रहे हर पल के लिए रेडी। LIC बीमा लक्ष्मी, रखे हर पल के लिए रेडी।
It's challenging to know which sector may perform next. Data, tech, and AI help our fund managers spot suitable sector opportunities. Presenting Geo BlackRock Sector Rotation Fund. NFO closes the 9th of February 2026. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Welcome back. Well, the markets are still holding on to those gains, but a few stocks actually have slipped a little bit from the highs of the day. Some of these textile names have come off just a wee bit from the day's top, but otherwise, it's a good trading session. A lot of stocks actually are moving around. Gokuldas, the larger names actually that started at around 1,000 rupees before the tariffs came, and then they corrected. So they are pulling back, with greater vengeance. A few days ago, we had a resignation at the top at South Indian Bank. So that stock was down, I think, 13-14%. Now that's moved to the high point of the day. Adani Power as well is seeing some kind of traction. So that stock as well moves up. And HFCL, I think they have 20% of their business that comes in from the United States. So that as well has perked up a little bit. Metals have come in for about a profit taking today. We have Nalco that's down in trade. That's down closer to around 2%. Sona BLW Precision as well is now down closer to around 1% from the top of the day. Still holding in the green, but come off a little bit from the top. Geo Financial is a stock that actually continues to move with good momentum. It's up 7.5%. So good move out there. We're waiting by actually. We should get the management of Aether Energy who will be joining in shortly. So we'll wait by for that. But Manglam, a pretty okay trading session. I don't want to slip even more from here. I want to go home with the gain at least of around 650, 700 points. That'll be a good outcome actually. But the number of stocks that are declining from around 150 stocks, it moved to 250 stocks. And now it's at around 350 stocks.
You take that point, Nigel. And some of the stocks which actually saw a decline after opening have now begun to pick up once again. And some of them who did not open with big gains are now picking pace as well. Something like a PCBL, that's the one that should come up for you, up around 15%, and a fair amount of volumes out there backing that stock as well. Welspun Living for one, at one point had seen a bit of a decline from the top, but now off the lows is the stock up around 19%, 19.19% for Welspun Living as well. We take a short break, come back, get you more on the other side of Chartbusters. Stay with us.
This is worth sharing. Faster Wi-Fi on the new Emirates A350.
वकील साहब, अच्छी खासी प्रैक्टिस है, नया फील्ड में क्यों जाना?
सिस्टर, देश का सोच रहे हैं
और इसके फ्यूचर का नहीं सोच रहे?
SBI लाइफ से अपनी बेटी का फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
तभी तो इनको अपने इरादे पूरे करने का राइट है।
पढ़ो। देश की कई बेटियों का फ्यूचर सिक्योर करना है।
करो पूरे अपने इरादे,
अपनों से किए सभी वादे,
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
In the heart of the jungle roams the finest creature, and through the chaos of the sparkling city lights, I am reminded of the timeless valor of the majestic tiger. In life's wild journey, we have one shot to thrill. And when done flawlessly, we unwind and allow our spirits to rejuvenate. Royal Ranthambore, India's finest, yet.
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible, and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है.
Look, this investment guru's tips will double your money. Just claim the offer.
Double your money from any random group. Pay attention. Promising double returns, they'll lure you in tight. Unverified groups will send fake tips overnight, emptying your pockets before you can fight.
Well said, well said, well said.
SEBI and NSE advise consult only SEBI registered advisors and make payments only to verified accounts or UPI IDs. An investor awareness initiative by SEBI and NSE.
Windows down, chasing dreams on a net.
With Skoda Supercare and growing network across 180 plus cities, you never drive alone.
सोच रहा हूँ टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लूं ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना हो। तू भी ले ले।
अबे जल्दी क्या है, बाद में देख लेंगे।
आराम से आराम से आराम से। अब तक कुणाल को हार्ट अटैक आ गया यार।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
The best investment one can make in life is finding the right life partner. That's why we created VIPshadi.com. Register now.
आंधी आए तो पर्वत बन जाऊंगा,
आग लगे तो दरिया बन जाऊंगा,
भूख लगे तो रोटी बन जाऊंगी।
ये कर पाएंगे क्या? इनका तो पता नहीं, पर उसने तो कर दिखाया। कोटक फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड 15 सालों से मार्केट के अप्स एंड डाउन्स में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के साथ लार्ज, मिड और स्मॉल कैप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, जिससे इन्वेस्टर्स को लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टेड रहने का हौसला भी मिलता है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
This is Network 18 and you're watching CNBC TV 18.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that.
The fact that India is the Maharaja of tariffs, the highest tariffs in the world, charging on American products.
We therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them.
We are engaged, we remain engaged with the United States, and at this time, I can't say more than that.
Mr. President, this is Chandra Shrikant from India. Can you give us an update on the India-US trade deal?
First of all, I have great respect for your Prime Minister. He's a fantastic man and friend of mine, and we're going to have a good deal.
Since I arrived in India about a month ago, I have said, and I truly mean it, that the two leaders have a great personal relationship. And that is something that carried this deal forward.
I'm very hopeful of a very good deal with the United States.
What excitement, what drama, and absolute rocker of a night, I may say so. The trade deal getting announced. Nifty, historic open, 1,200 points higher.
Okay, 1,000 points, 26,030. Nifty Bank, 23,050, which is 60,950.
A historic trade deal that has been inked between the India and United States. If you look at the reaction to that on the markets, it's phenomenal. In just the last 3 trading sessions from budget day lows, the Nifty's traveled over 1,300 points, and it's an all-green screen. There are weeks where nothing happens, and then there are days where everything happens. You're watching us here on Trading Hour. I'm Mangalam Malu. With me, as always, Ritu and Hormaz. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Mangalam. And what a historic start it has been after that historic deal that we saw, and the markets continuing to trade on those gains. And we always talk about sector-specific stocks and stocks that are buzzing, but it's pretty much green throughout.
It's the entire sector that's buzzing, and sectors are buzzing. But corporate conversations, of course, can't lose sight of the earnings season, and we continue with that first up.
We do that as well. So let's get across to Tarun Mehta, the co-founder and CEO of Aether Energy, joining in with what was a very healthy third quarter for the company operationally. We'll be discussing, obviously, the following talking points. One, visibility on margins, whether they turn positive or not, market share target by the end of this financial year, the next financial year, and the impact of higher commodity prices. Let's attack 2 of them. First up itself, thanks a lot for joining in, Tarun. It's been a phenomenal improvement that you've shown in your operating performance, where the losses have narrowed. The reported EBITDA margins are now just -3%. That's an over 1,500, 1,600 basis points improvement. While this has happened on account of increased volumes, improved market share, and increased productivity gains that you got as well, on the other hand, there is this risk of higher commodity prices that may impact your operational performance. So how do you balance these two? By when do you turn EBITDA positive, reported EBITDA positive, and are you taking any sort of price hikes?
Right. So thanks. Q3 was a great quarter for us. We saw a 50% growth in volumes. We saw 1,500 bips improvement in EBITDA. We also saw a good improvement in unit economics by almost 300 bips. This was honestly firing on all cylinders. Unit economics improved because we were able to improve our ASPs, because we were able to drive costs down. And operating leverage was there. We have roughly 4x our volume in the last 6 quarters. So that's kind of played out beautifully in the EBITDA journey. We've cautioned that there are some headwinds potential from commodities in the coming few quarters. And what we've done for that is obviously kept a lot of our engineering bandwidth focused towards cost reductions, but also keeping a tight control over our fixed costs. We want to fast track our journey towards break even as much as possible, so that even if we absorb all these blows, we land up at a better place and stay on a good path.
So by when do you break even?
Results.
By when do you break even?
Always difficult to say, and we don't give a guidance there, but we've gotten pretty close, and we intend to stay.
That's the worry, right? You've gotten pretty close, but the other side, the commodity prices have taken you far away from there. So with all things said and done, maybe, not a particular quarter or any sort of guidance, but any time in the next 3 or 4 quarters, is there visibility for you to break even?
So we've got a few growth levers ahead of us. First, on price hikes, we took a 3,000 rupee price hike just at the start of Q4 itself. That's with the intention of absorbing some of the potential commodity hits here. I think that'll go a long way. We have further cost reductions coming our way. The biggest one ahead of us this year is coming from a transition to the low-cost scooter platform, the EL scooter platform. So between both of these, we expect a lot of gains ahead of us. So we think we should be well positioned to absorb these hits. Thirdly, our software contribution and our non-vehicle revenues have been on a tear. So we had almost 14% of our revenue coming from non-vehicle sources, a large majority of that coming from software sales. So that's continuing to support our P&L massively. And we think this trend will likely continue, given what we have seen in newer markets, particularly the northern markets, where the trends have been very encouraging.
Right. So just 2 questions before we let you go. 2-part question. You can give us numbers. One, your market share by the end of this year, where does it stand? It's about 18.8% right now. What's your target there? And by the end of FY27? And non-vehicle revenues, which is about 13%. You said directionally that is increasing. So from about 13%, where does that go on your market share? And, your non-vehicle revenues, if you could give us 3 quick numbers.
So market share, think of this as two different parts of the country. In South, we've been consolidating at 25% market share now for several quarters. And with the current portfolio, we are pretty confident of this. In the rest of the geos, we believe our fair market share lies around 20%, and we've been moving towards that every quarter. So a 20%-ish, 20% plus kind of a market share is our near-term expectation. And on the other question was around
non-vehicle revenue.
Non-vehicle revenue. So that's compounding really well. So there are two parts. Software sales, we've been able to hike prices of a software also consecutively over every year. But service revenues are compounding in nature, given the fleet size. We believe in steady state, there is a 3 to 4% potential improvement from this source. So the current 14% could compound to 17, 18% over the next few years, driving a lot of margin gains for the business.
Tarun, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us today. Wish you good luck for the rest of the quarters as well. The management there of Ather Energy. But of course, the big talking point, of course, the US trade deal and the impact on these export-oriented names, particularly the textile stocks. You look at Gokaldas, Indocount, all of them trading with gains of anywhere between 15 to 20%, and they are holding on to those gains. The one important factor is the fact that despite the fall that these stocks had seen, now this is as of yesterday's closing, from the 2nd of April when these reciprocal tariffs were first announced, these stocks were down anywhere between 10 to 30%. Now comes the deal. The deal will now bring down tariffs to 18%. This is better than the other export-oriented names, Vietnam and Bangladesh, which are still taxed at 20%. India will be taxed at 18%. So it's a positive for all of these textile companies. Now, the story here is that despite the fall that these stocks saw, despite all of these headwinds, retail investors chose to stick around. And if you look at the shareholding patterns as well for all of these companies, most of these shareholding patterns show that the retail shareholding from the March quarter of 2025 to the December quarter of 2025 has only seen an increase, be it Gokaldas Exports, be it Welspun Living, be it Indocount, or be it Arvind. All of them have seen an increase in their shareholding patterns. And there you can see. And even Avanti Feeds, of course, the shrimp manufacturer is included in this as well. That is the one outlier. But other than that, it's mostly seen an increase. Now, if you take a look at the mutual funds as well, they too have chosen to stick around these stocks. Gokaldas is a very heavily fund-owned name. Now, from 30% in March, that shareholding has increased to 35% at the end of the December quarter. And for most other names too, barring Avanti Feeds, the shareholding has only increased, even if it is for the mutual funds. Now, that is the bit that the patience is being rewarded, yes, but there's still a long way to go for these names, because despite the recovery that you are seeing today, all of these names are still down significantly from their record high levels, which was either towards the end of 2024 or the start of 2025. Gokaldas is still down 55%. This is as of yesterday's closing, of course. Welspun's down 43%, Indocount is down almost 50% as well, and Arvind too is down close to 30%. So as of now, the patience is getting rewarded, but still there is a long way to go for a lot of these shareholders.
Yes, the patience is getting rewarded for these investors that stayed put through all of that uncertainty. But let's bring in market experts to get a check of where we go from here after the historic open we've seen and the record rally. Rohit Srivastava and Neeraj Sheth, founder and CIO, 3R Investment Management, are with us now. Rohit, what a historic opening we've had. Where do we go from here? Give us your near-term targets.
So, while it may look pretty rosy to start with, I think we would want to give it some time to see whether the market can really sustain the big one-day swing. Like what we've seen it do is it's opened higher, but it's sold off during the day. And in the process, we did not get past the January high, which was at 26373. So that does keep odds open that, even if the market just stays at the current level for 2-3 days and we are not able to get past that high, that we may sell off again. Now, this is a risk to keep in mind. On the other hand, if we say that, okay, the markets are going to go higher, make a new high, are we ready for a runaway move? So then I would cap a new high at probably 26,650. That is my best case scenario right now, if at all we do that. But not the preferred scenario. So that's an alternate that we'll keep in mind, that, okay, if it does happen, a lot of buying comes in, then, okay, we can go till there. But the setup as of now, today morning, remains that we did not cross that high. We sold off from there, and the risk is still open to the downside, though we may stay at the current level for a day or two because of the underlying event.
Rohit, you mentioned there is a risk, but you need to cross specific levels. That's for the Nifty. But the Nifty Bank has been the bigger worry, right? From record high levels, it sold off almost 2,000 points. Now it is back at those levels as well. Has that chart structure dramatically changed after this one-day move, or does it show a similar risk as to what you see for the Nifty chart as well?
So unfortunately, it also keeps something open. We also call this an inter-market divergence, where one index does not confirm with others because we haven't seen a new high in mid-cap, small-cap indices, which have only retraced 61 to 70% of the fall that they had seen. So they've actually done far more poorly. I would put a level to watch close to around 60,000, and above that maybe around 60,700 for the Bank Nifty. So these are two key levels above which we would have to sustain to be able to say that, okay, Bank Nifty is doing something new or something fresh. Otherwise, it would still be just part of what has been going on, because we are in the same range we were in December, just a little bit higher or lower.
All right, Neeraj, quickly, your view as well on how you see the markets moving in the near term, whether we can sustain that rally. Rohit was saying we still not hit the Jan 5th highs that we had seen.
So I'm a little more optimistic. Yes, caution is warranted for sure. But at the same time, if you take a step back and look around the broader factors, so the fundamentals, obviously you have a growth impulse that comes from the trade deal. You have a balance of payment, rupee stability. The only negative is RBI might go on a pause. But alongside that, from a global markets perspective, you're starting to see a little bit of volatility in the AI trade, the volatility in gold, and the drop in the gold price in the last 3 trading sessions, the oil price decline. So there are a lot of different factors which I would argue have started to turn the technicals for the Indian market. So would it run away from here? I'm not sure, but at least we are in a more positive technical backdrop given the broader factors that are at play today.
And, Neeraj, of course, the bigger question about whether the foreign money comes back to India after, the kind of year that we've seen. And, the next cue from here, Friday, RBI, will announce its monetary policy. What are you expecting from there as well?
So on the FPI side, I do think this at least is the beginning of the pause of FPI selling. And then if the markets continue to perform and we see some revisions or upgrade in earning projections on the back of the better fundamentals, I do think the FPI turn will happen. On the RBI front, given the backdrop, I would expect RBI to go on a pause for at least now and see how it goes before there's more monetary accommodation is provided to the economy.
Rohit, as Neeraj was also highlighting with regards to gold and silver, do you believe that the top is being made for both of them, at least for now, especially considering the volatility that you're seeing in prices, 10% up today, 10% down tomorrow?
More than at least for now is what I believe. The way gold and silver ran up through January has completely changed the outlook that we have for the next 1 to 2 years. So if you ask me this question in December, I would have said, yeah, you'll get a correction, but it's just going to be temporary. At the most, you get 6 months of underperformance and things could pick up. The parabolic rise of gold and silver in January put them at extremes in terms of their market sentiment, their technical readings that have only been seen at major tops that are often not surpassed for 2 to 3 years. So therefore, what I'm really looking at is a long period of underperformance as far as precious metals are concerned. And I think that is going to have a rub-off on other parts as well. I know there are hopes that, PMs cool off and then we continue to see the base metals pick up, but the entire base metal rally was actually on the back of precious metals. And you don't have an oil market rally yet. So broadly speaking, the whole idea that you are in a commodity bull run, I think is becoming questionable till we get seriously new proof. The bigger rundown to that entire argument would be the dollar itself. I think people got overly pessimistic on the dollar. And that also shows up in the data. The CFTC data was showing one of the largest short positions by non-commercial traders going into the end of Jan. And that has set us up for what we are calling now a dollar rally, or the potential that we've actually turned around or are in the early stages of turning around as far as the dollar is concerned. So we saw a glimpse of that, I think, on Friday and probably a bit yesterday. But it may be something that will continue. In fact, that itself could actually cool off what we've seen as a, not just a precious metals rally, but also an emerging market rally, because the last 12 months have seen spectacular outperformance of emerging markets relative to the US. I know India did not participate in that, and you'd really love that happened now that the trade deal is through. But that trade is at its fag end, and we'd have to do very quick catch up to really make up for that. Otherwise, we'll just be left, holding the bag over here.
All right. Neeraj and Rohit, thanks very much for joining in with that. Appreciate your views and your time here. We have to slip into a short break on that note, but more on the markets when we return.
Fly Emirates, fly better.
Nice, yeah.
Hey, Mahi, suggest a cool bank जो environmentally conscious हो.
SBI, coolest है.
Really?
SBI ने लाखों पेड़ लगाए, वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स को फंड किया, EV लोन्स पे कंसेशंस दी और रेन्यूएबल एनर्जी को मैक्स सपोर्ट किया.
How? That's cool.
SBI, the banker to every Indian. Truly.
देश के हर हिस्से को जोड़ने वाली सड़कें अब पहले से चौड़ी भी और तेज भी, लेकिन सुरक्षा के बिना रफ्तार खतरे का ही दूसरा नाम है. अब बदलाव शुरू हो चुका है. AI तकनीक बन रही है हमारा सुरक्षा कवच. उल्लंघनों की पहचान, हादसों की रोकथाम और अनमोल जीवन की रक्षा. लेकिन सिर्फ तकनीक काफी नहीं है, हमें भी निभानी होगी अपनी जिम्मेदारी. अनुशासन अपनाइए, सुरक्षा को कर्तव्य बनाइए, तभी आएगी असली क्रांति. जुड़िए सड़क सुरक्षा अभियान के साथ, परवाह से कर्तव्य तक.
टिंग टिंग, अम्मा मैसेज. मैं आपके मौसा के चाचा का नाती का पोता, शादी का कार्ड मैसेज में भेजा है. डाउनलोड करिए और आशीर्वाद दीजिए.
मैं तो आपको जानती भी नहीं, फिर भी शादी का कार्ड खोलूं? मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूँ.
क्या बात है अम्मा. यूपीआई कहता है अगर कोई अनजान नंबर से फाइल या लिंक भेजे तो क्लिक मत करो और कहो मैं मूर्ख नहीं. जाइए आप भी किसी का टेस्ट लीजिए.
एक और फैमिली ने रखा कदम अपने नए घर में, टाटा कैपिटल होम लोन्स के साथ.
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है. आंधी आए तो पर्वत बन जाऊंगा.
आग लगे तो दरिया बन जाऊंगा.
भूख लगे तो रोटी बन जाऊंगी.
ये कर पाएंगे क्या? इनका तो पता नहीं, पर उसने तो कर दिखाया. कोटक फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड 15 सालों से मार्केट के अप्स एंड डाउन्स में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के साथ लार्ज, मिड और स्मॉल कैप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है,
जिससे इन्वेस्टर्स को लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टेड रहने का हौसला भी मिलता है.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है. योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें.
Bittu and Kittu. Tattoo Vattu. Summer vacations. Houses, cars.
But mileage not same. But how does yours give so much more mileage? Ask this question not just to your car but also to your fuel. Good fuel means better mileage. Petrol at GOBP with international active technology increases mileage up to 100 kilometers per year. And diesel gives up to 4.3% more mileage at no extra cost.
Now their mileage.
Same.
LIC brings its Navjeevan Shri for young professionals. Pay regular premiums. Enjoy life insurance. Earn guaranteed additions as a percentage of premium. Create a guaranteed corpus at maturity for your dream goals. Attractive incentives to existing policyholders. Buy today.
Welcome back. Time to get you a quick check on the macro signals of the day. The markets opened 1,200 points higher, now trading with gains of about 700 points as we speak. The Bank Nifty stays above 60,000, trading with gains of about 1,560 points. That's the markets for you after that historic trade deal was announced. But apart from the markets, the biggest impact that we've seen is also on the rupee. That is appreciated by 1.25 percentage points, now trading at 90.37 compared to yesterday's close of about 91.52 to the dollar. So a lot of move on the rupee if you compare it with some of the Asian peers. Yes, year to date, or rather from the time that the tariffs were announced in April last year, it is the worst performing Asian currency. It lost 2% this year, but then again today alone we made that gain of more than 1%. And going ahead, if you look at the ranges that various people have on the street, anywhere from 88 to 89, which BNP Paribas has, one of the lowest in the street, 88, 89 to the dollar from SBI, all the way to 90, 92 from Goldman Sachs. So that's the near-term levels that the street will be looking out for as far as the rupee is concerned. Oil prices, take a look at that. They're also stable. They're noting the impact of production hike being halted from the next month. And of course, Iran and US, that continues to weigh on sentiments. Apart from that, the 10-year yield, now that is going to take its next cues from the RBI policy that comes up on Friday. Currently, slightly lower. You have the 10-year at about 6.725. That's where we're at.
All right, so those are the macro signals. Let's get you a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Speaking to Network 18, Editor-in-Chief Rahul Joshi, Finance Minister, spoke about easing China FDI rules and all the macros. Listen in.
India's trade deficit with China is greater than about $116 billion in 2025. Even though the exports have also gone up, how do you tackle this issue?
That is where I think we are very clear in Atmanirbhar Bharat. We need to have capacities built in India for those essential goods that we import and make sure that we are able to make it in India for Indian market. Even as I say this, we have not restricted the imports of some of the critical machines or equipments or some raw materials which are so important for our industries. So capacities will have to grow, but in the meanwhile you still need, for those very same capacities, imported equipments. So we are doing a fine balancing act in not denying the raw material coming or the equipment coming, because there are some precision tools which you so need when you're going to set up a particular type of factory. We need those to come in here. Sorry. But at the same time, capacities in India will have to be expanded, ramped up sooner, so that our dependencies can come down. But this story is one side of the coin.
Right.
The other side of the coin is market access in China. I was Commerce Minister, and I know in my time also we've been asking for greater market access for Indian goods.
Right, in China.
That is moving very slowly.
So now that the relationship with China is improving, would you consider relaxing restrictions on investments by China through Press Note 3? That would really take the relationship to the next level.
Well, some discussions were happening. I'm not sure where it is reached as yet. Once we arrive at something, I'll be able to expand on it.
Sure.
All right, and if you look at the trends coming in from the F&O space, a solid day of gains. Nifty Bank, Mid-Cap Index, all of them sitting with good gains. One would argue that they're not at the highs of the morning, but well, excesses are out from the morning, and right now the kind of short positions that are built up will be very interesting to see where the second half of trade will be, because it's Tuesday today. It is also the weekly options expiry. Advance decline firmly in favor of advances. All the portfolios looking wonderful. And, just the budget day low of 24,571 seems so far away. It was just about a session and a half away. If you look at Sunday afternoon, that's where the market hit those levels. So from there, it's been a big gain. The Nifty's crossed the 200, the 20-day moving average as well, and currently very close to the 50-day moving average of 25,829. The FIIs, they are 88% short in index futures. And as we speak, this was as of yesterday, as we speak, both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank futures have seen massive short covering. The open interest is down. So today's data will be extremely crucial. What we have right now, on our screens is the 25,500 call, the 25,400 call, and the 25-300 call. All of them seeing shorts being caught on the wrong side, and as a result of which there is massive short covering. So those options come up for you on the screen. You would see there is short covering. So just watch out for the data today, post-market, will be extremely crucial to determine where, all the options and the futures writers have been stuck. Take a short break. Come back. On the other side, the management of AkzoNobel joins in.
There are too many choices in mutual funds. I really don't know where to begin.
So equity, debt and hybrid funds, they all sound like jargon to me. And I really don't know which one's right for me.
Yes, it's true there are many funds available in Indian markets, but I think each of them specify a particular goal which you can adopt it for. Just to give some examples, if you're looking for capital appreciation, long-term growth, then probably equity funds are better for you. If you're looking for stable income, maybe preservation of capital, maybe you're looking at debt funds. Within the debt fund category, there are multiple categories. You have money market instruments, you have liquid instruments, you have corporate bond funds, and depending on the duration which you're looking for, each of these funds can be used. Hybrid funds are a combination of both. In a hybrid fund, typically a fund manager will invest a certain portion of money in equity and a certain portion of money in debt, and thereby giving you a balanced risk return reward. All of them are over a period of time, and all of them are meant to give you choices based on your needs.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना, लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहां नो टेंशन वहां।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
वकील साहब, अच्छी खासी प्रैक्टिस है, नया फील्ड में क्यों जाना?
मंजू सिस्टर, देश का सोच रहे
और इसके फ्यूचर का नहीं सोच रहे।
SBI लाइफ से अपनी बेटी का फ्यूचर सिक्योर है। तभी तो इनको अपने इरादे पूरे करने का राइट है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे। SBI लाइफ अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए।
It's challenging to know which sector may perform next. Data, tech, and AI help our fund managers spot suitable sector opportunities. Presenting Geo BlackRock Sector Rotation Fund. NFO closes the 9th of February 2026. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We plan for targets, but do we plan for time?
Today's workforce dreams fast, but peace of mind doesn't come from paychecks.
It comes from a plan to invest in your retirement.
The National Pension System, a trusted, flexible, and fully digital retirement solution. It's simple to adopt and delivers high returns, helping employees grow their retirement corpus steadily. Smart companies adopt NPS Corporate. Smarter employees ask for it.
NPS जरूरी है.
Future security is teamwork. That's why.
NPS जरूरी है.
टिंग टिंग, अम्मा मैसेज। मैं आपके मौसा के चाचा का नाती का पोता, शादी का कार्ड मैसेज में भेजा है, डाउनलोड करिए और आशीर्वाद दीजिए।
मैं तो आपको जानती भी नहीं, फिर भी शादी का कार्ड खोलूं? मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूँ।
क्या बात है अम्मा। UPI कहता है अगर कोई अनजान नंबर से फाइल या लिंक भेजे तो क्लिक मत करो और कहो मैं मूर्ख नहीं। जाइए आप भी किसी का टेस्ट लीजिए।
The best investment one can make in life is finding the right life partner. That's why we created VIPshadi.com. Register now.
Availing Bank of Baroda's premium NRI services is a masterstroke. Bank of Baroda, India's international bank.
यार सोच रहा हूँ पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लेता हूँ ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना। तू भी ले ले।
यार अभी तो यंग है यार, बाद में देखते हैं। आजा।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Markets continue to do well, but we also have a bunch of numbers to address. AkzoNobel shares trading flat after posting a muted set of third quarter earnings. But importantly, if you adjust for the change in the base quarter, you would see that there was a mild growth in their overall performance. Rajiv Rajgopal, who's the CMD, joins us now. Rajiv, thank you so much for joining in. 3 questions. At